Chapter 1305. Yes, I was too reckless last time, so I'll be the host this time. Let's talk about what happened last time. Zhao Fafa nodded. Alright, let's go. Lin Yi nodded. BSP, Zhao Fafa didn't expect Lin Yi to be so easygoing. He was overjoyed and quickly led the way with Wu Liuqi, leaving the school with Lin Yi. When they reached the school gate, Zhao Fafa realized that there was a ticket on his car. The school gate was a no parking zone, and Lin Yi had parked his car at the food street behind the school. Naturally, he wouldn't park his car here. Zhao Fafa was a bit pissed. It wasn't about the ticket, it was about his face. His car got a ticket in front of Lin Yi. It made him feel embarrassed, as if he didn't know the rules. Fa bro, who posted this? Wu Liuqi saw Zhao Fafa's unhappy face and immediately guessed what he was thinking. He ran to the car and tore the ticket off, throwing it on the ground. Lin Yi saw the ticket, but he was too lazy to expose Zhao Fafa and Wu Liuqi's fake behavior. Liuqi, this is a sports car. Can only take 2 people. You can follow behind in a taxi? Zhao Fafa turned his head. Sure, no problem. Wu Liuqi wanted to get close to Zhao Fafa. He knew that Zhao Fafa was rich now and he had a powerful relative. So eating was a small matter. His family was well off and he didn't lack a meal. The key was to please Zhao Fafa. Looking at Lin Yi getting into his car alone, Zhao Fafa was overjoyed. This kid was really dumb. Did he really think that he was going to treat him to a meal? What an idiot. When Sun Xiaoxing brought people to the room, he would be scared to death. Sun Xiaoxing chose the most expensive restaurant in Songshan, Tyrant Fish. It was one of the most expensive restaurants in Songshan. The price was not any lower than Starlight Hotel. Zhao Fafa parked his car in front of Tyrant Fish and entered the restaurant with Lin Yi. Welcome. As soon as the 3 of them entered the door, a waitress bowed politely and greeted them. It could be seen that the service here was top-notch. Looking at the waitress's appearance and height, one could tell that the quality of this place was not low. The decoration of this place was not inferior to that of the Starlight Hotel. Lin Yi had never been here before, but he'd heard Xiao Xiao mention it before. The girl had always wanted to have a feast here, but she didn't have the money or the opportunity. It was quite a pity that he didn't bring Xiao Xiao here today. One of Xiao Xiao's greatest joys in life was eating delicacies. She probably had one less day to eat, and so she was very familiar with all the food cities in Songshan. Room 588. Zhao Fafa said proudly to the waitress. We've made a reservation. Did Mr. Sun make a reservation? Please follow me. The waiter said after checking the PDA on his palm. Looking at the advanced equipment in the hands of the waiter, one could also indirectly reflect the level of this place. After Lin Yi, Zhao Fafa and Wu Liuqi entered the room, Sun Xiaoxing was already waiting inside, but his men hadn't arrived yet. Zhao Fafa planned to let Lin Yi order the dishes and talk for a while before calling Sun Xiaoxing's men to scare Lin Yi. If they appeared too early, he was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't dare to order the dishes, and then there wouldn't be any fun in scaring people. Bro, you're here. Sun Xiaoxing stood up and said respectfully. And this is Lin Yi, the main character of this meal. Zhao Fafa pointed at Lin Yi and gave Sun Xiaoxing a look. Lin Yi, welcome. Sun Xiaoxing immediately understood what Zhao Fafa meant. It wasn't the first time he did this. You're the guest, you order the dishes. With that, Sun Xiaoxing passed the menu to Lin Yi, letting him order the dishes. Oh, okay. Lin Yi didn't know what Zhao Fafa was planning, but Lin Yi didn't care. He took the menu and looked at it. The dishes here weren't cheap and some were ridiculously expensive. Lin Yi was like Xiao Xiao, he took the menu and ordered the expensive dishes. Even if he knew that Zhao Fafa was rich, Lin Yi still wanted to rip him off. Unknowingly, Lin Yi was influenced by Xiao Xiao's style. Otherwise, according to Lin Yi's character, he wouldn't come out to eat with Zhao Fafa. He would grab Zhao Fafa's collar and throw him down the stairs. Seeing how Lin Yi ordered so many expensive dishes, Zhao Fafa's face lit up with joy. Before, he was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't order these expensive dishes. He was thinking of how to persuade Lin Yi to order more expensive dishes. That was the only way to get Lin Yi to pay the bill. But Lin Yi was the first to order the delicacies. It seemed that the kid was a little retarded. He didn't know that he was the one paying for the food, did he? This is all I've ordered. Do you want to add more? Lin Yi passed the menu back to Zhao Fafa and asked. Zhao Fafa looked at Lin Yi's order. Lin Yi ordered almost 200,000 yuan worth of seafood. This made Zhao Fafa very satisfied. Although Zhao Fafa's family was rich and he drove a sports car, his monthly allowance was only this much. He didn't want to spend so much money on food. Xiaoxing Liuqi, you guys order more. It's my treat. Just order the expensive dishes. Zhao Fafa passed the menu back to Sun Xiaoxing and Wu Liuqi. Hey. Thank you Fa bro. I won't hold back then. Sun Xiaoxing took the menu knowingly and began to order more dishes that cost more than 100,000 yuan at 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Sun Xiaoxing's family was different from Zhao Fafa and Wu Liuqi. His family didn't have much money. Although Zhao Fafa gave him 50,000 yuan every month to develop his business, how could he bear to spend money on food? That money was also used to recruit followers, so how could he let go of such a good opportunity to eat to his heart's content? He ordered some expensive seafood that he couldn't eat normally. Chapter 1306. Fa bro already said that he's treating. Why are you guys still being so polite? Linny opened his mouth. How about this, since Fa bro is so passionate, we'll give them 2 more servings of everything they ordered. Sir. The waiter nodded politely. He didn't think that the people in the room couldn't afford the bill at all. He heard that these people came in a Ferrari. How could they not have money? And give me 3 more servings. Zhao Fafa felt that it wasn't enough, so he asked the waiter to give him 1 more. He wanted to kill Lin Yi. He wanted Lin Yi to die. Alright, is there anything else you need? The waiter nodded. No, go and serve the dishes, we need to talk. Zhao Fafa waved his hand, signaling the waiter to leave. After the waiter left, Zhao Fafa looked at Lin Yi with a serious face. Do you know why I asked you to come here? What's the matter? Aren't you treating me to a meal? Is there something else? Lin Yi paused and asked back. Zhao Fafa didn't expect this person to be so careless. Was he stupid? He was fine. Why did he invite him to a meal? Wasn't he bored? Isn't that so? Lin Yi asked. Do you think I'm stupid? Zhao Fafa was in pain. Why was this person so stupid? Normal people would have noticed something at this moment, but this kid seemed to be fine. He didn't even notice the danger in front of him. Seems like it. Otherwise, why would you spend so much money to treat me to a meal? Lin Yi nodded. But Zhao Fafa heard Lin Yi's words. He was furious. He slammed the table. Kid, I'm telling you, I'm here to talk to you. What happened last time isn't over yet. Oh. Lin Yi nodded. You invited me to dinner just for the matter last time? What happened last time is in the past and I don't plan to pursue it. You don't have to treat me to a big meal. Zhao Fafa wanted to cry. How could there be such an idiot in this world who didn't understand what was being said? She was threatening him, but he took it as an apology. Why was this person's IQ so low? Alright, I know you feel bad about it, so treat me to a meal. No problem, I accept your kindness. Nothing needs to be said. Lin Yi said. Damn you. Sun Xiaoxing saw the ugly expression on Zhao Fafa's face. He slammed the table and pointed at Lin Yi. Kid, listen up, Fa bro didn't call you here to apologize, he's here to cause you trouble. Find trouble with me? Treating me to a meal is to cause trouble for me? Then I'd rather have more troubles in the future. Lin Yi said indifferently. Sun Xiaoxing wanted to cry. Was there something wrong with his speech? Why didn't Lin Yi understand what she was saying? At this moment there was a knock on the door. The waiter was here to serve the dishes. Now was not the time to eat, and hotels of this level all had prepared food, so it didn't take long for the delicious dishes they had ordered to be served on the table. The waiter's arrival helped Zhao Fafa and Sun Xiaoxing out of the predicament. They were at their wits' end when they met someone like Lin Yi who didn't understand words. In the past, those who were scared were also smart. As long as he gave them a hint, they would be scared witless. However, this kid in front of him, after hinting for a long time, he misunderstood and thought that he really wanted to treat him to a meal. The waiter left after placing the dishes on the table. Zhao Fafa and Sun Xiaoxing, on the other hand, looked at each other. They were thinking about how to continue the conversation with Lin Yi. But before they could speak, Lin Yi spoke first. This crab is really big, it's a giant. I heard it's called king crab, right? Let's eat while it's hot. If you have anything to say, we can talk after the meal. With that, he didn't care about Zhao Fafa and Sun Xiaoxing as he took the crab and started eating. Zhao Fafa and Sun Xiaoxing were speechless. Wu Liuqi, on the other hand, didn't know what was going on and didn't dare to speak. Ahem. Lin Yi, put the crab down first and listen to me. Zhao Fafa looked at Lin Yi eating the crab. He was a little depressed and snorted. Oh, go ahead. I'll listen while I eat. Lin Yi didn't seem to want to put the crab down. Tell me the truth, I like Tang Yun. Give her to me and I'll let this go. Otherwise, Zhao Fafa said threateningly, but even he himself felt that the threat wasn't as threatening as it sounded out from his mouth. In the past, every time Zhao Fafa scared people, they would be scared and sit there not moving at all. But now the person in front of him was Lin Yi, who was stuffing himself with food. It was funny no matter how he looked at it. Lin Yi replied and continued eating. I'm talking to you. Did you hear me? Zhao Fafa was furious. Kid Fa bro is talking to you. Don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. What do you want? Tell me. Sun Xiaoxing couldn't hold it in anymore. I'm telling you, I'm from the underworld. Don't think that you can do anything just because you have some skills. I can kill you easily. Oh. Lin Yi replied indifferently. Who knew if he heard what Sun Xiaoxing said or not? Kid, did you hear me or not? Zhao Fafa couldn't stand Lin Yi's attitude anymore. Xiaoxing, call people over. Yes. Sun Xiaoxing was waiting for this moment. He was very angry at Lin Yi. He was waiting for Zhao Fafa to call people over to teach Lin Yi a lesson. Sun Xiaoxing's men were already prepared. They were waiting in the room next door. So when Sun Xiaoxing gave the signal, the men in the room next door rushed into his room. These men were all wearing black shirts and pants. Their hair was dyed in different colors. Although they didn't have any weapons in their hands, their waists were bulging. Obviously they had a dagger or something like that in their pockets. Zhao bro, Sun bro. These men knew Zhao Fafa. They knew that Zhao Fafa was Sun Xiaoxing's boss. So they greeted Zhao Fafa as soon as they entered the room. Zhao Fafa frowned. Obviously he wasn't happy with the name Zhao bro. How many times do I have to tell you? Call me Fa bro or Fa master. His brother Fa. The underlings hurriedly repeated. Chapter 1307. Don't say those useless things. Zhao Fafa heard Lin Yi's inaccurate pronunciation and naturally knew that he was teasing him. He pointed at Lin Yi. See that? If you nod your head today, I'll leave with these people and pretend that nothing happened. If you don't nod your head, then I'm sorry, but you'll have to call for an ambulance. Oh, so you're saying that I'll go to the hospital if I eat too much? Lin Yi pointed at the delicious food on the table. Indeed, there's quite a lot. If I ate all of this, I'd really end up in the hospital. How about this? I'll call my girlfriend and ask her to come eat with us. Lin Yi wanted to call Xiao Xiao. There was so much good food here, he should let her enjoy it. Otherwise, it'd be a waste. Zhao Fafa paused after hearing Lin Yi's words. Call your girlfriend? Wasn't Lin Yi's girlfriend Tang Yun? Could it be that this kid changed his mind and wanted to give Tang Yun to him? This kid wasn't an idiot, he just didn't want to lose face. Was that why he used such a subtle method to get what he wanted? Yes, that was very likely. Zhao Fafa felt that his IQ was too high. He immediately thought of what Lin Yi was thinking. It seemed that his threat was effective. Lin Yi was scared, he just didn't want to lose face. At least you know what's good for you. I thought you were stubborn. Hurry up and make the call, don't waste time. Zhao Fafa thought of Tang Yun's body and felt an itch in his heart. Lin Yi didn't correct Zhao Fafa. He picked up the phone and called Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi, honey, where did you go? Why didn't I see you after PE class? Xiao Xiao had just finished her class and was wondering where Lin Yi had gone. Drive to Tyrant Fish Seafood Restaurant right now. Someone's treating us to a seafood feast. Lin Yi said. It's a room reserved by that Sun guy. Okay, I'll go right away. Xiao Xiao agreed immediately. She loved big meals, especially when she was with Lin Yi. It was free. Lin Yi didn't drive before leaving his car at school. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, had a set of keys so she could just drive over. Kid, you're pretty smart, aren't you? If that's the case, I won't beat you up. Zhao Fafa waved his hand and gestured to the people in the room. Everyone sit down and eat. This kid is still on the right path. Thank you, Ife bro. When these people saw all kinds of delicious seafood on the table, their eyes were about to turn green. Previously, they were in another private room only drinking tea and waiting for orders. There was nothing to eat at all. Moreover, it was rare for them to eat such delicious food. At this moment, their eyes were shining with desire to eat. Wait. Just as these people were about to sit down, Lin Yi waved his hand and stopped them. If they eat, what about my girlfriend? Didn't you come here for nothing? Fafa blinked. That's right, how could Tang Yin eat with a bunch of vulgar people when she's here? What's more, Tang Yun was about to become his woman, so he had to treat Tang Yun even better. Alright, you guys stand here for a bit. I'll treat you later. Zhao Fafa waved his hand and gestured for them to continue standing. Although these people were a little disappointed, they didn't dare to argue with Zhao Fafa. After all, their money was supported by Zhao Fafa, so they could only stand aside obediently. Very soon there was a knock on the door. Zhao Fafa was very excited. He couldn't wait for Tang Yun anymore. He waved his hand and one of his men opened the door. But the person who came in made Zhao Fafa pause. It wasn't Tang Yun but another girl. She was pretty, but Zhao Fafa was obsessed with Tang Yun these days. He wouldn't give up until he got what he wanted. You are? Zhao Fafa looked at the person weirdly. Did she knock on the wrong door? Linny, honey, you really are here. Xiao Xiao didn't even bother with Zhao Fafa. When she saw Lin Yi, she excitedly ran over and sat beside Lin Yi. She looked at the food on the table and exclaimed, "There's so much good food." Yeah, hurry up and eat. Let's eat together. Lin Yi put a giant crab on Xiao Xiao's plate. Sure. Xiao Xiao didn't care. She was a little suspicious of the atmosphere in the room, but with Lin Yi here she didn't have to worry about anything. Since Lin Yi told her to eat, she was ready to eat. Lin Yi, didn't you say your girlfriend was here? What's going on? Are you messing with me? Zhao Fafa couldn't take it anymore as he looked at the couple who only had food in their eyes. He slammed the table and roared, "Where's Tang Yun? I didn't say Tang Yun was coming. Isn't she my girlfriend?" Lin Yi pointed at Xiao Xiao innocently. Her? Isn't your girlfriend Tang Yun? Zhao Fafa frowned. Tang Yun sis is the first wife and I'm the second wife. What's wrong with that? Alright, who are you? Xiao Xiao looked at Zhao Fafa strangely after explaining. She didn't know who this guy was. Oh, he's the one who's treating us, Lin Yi said. Ignore him. He's too rich to spend. He's treating us. Oh, there's an idiot like him in this world. He's so dumb. Xiao Xiao nodded and started eating the crab. Eat my ass. I'm the one who's going to kill you. You're toying with me? Zhao Fafa finally realized that Lin Yi had been toying with him all along. This guy wasn't an idiot at all. He underestimated him. I'm not toying with you. I've been telling you the truth but you didn't believe me, Lin Yi said. Alright, take a seat first. My girlfriend and I are going to eat. Beat him up. Zhao Fafa was really pissed now. He pointed at Lin Yi and ordered his men at the door. You talk too much. Lin Yi threw a crab shell at Zhao Fafa's mouth. The crab shell wasn't sharp, but with Lin Yi's strength, it stuck around Zhao Fafa's mouth and sealed his mouth. And so in an instant only Zhao Fafa, Sun Xiaoxing and Wu Liuqi were left in the room. Sun Xiaoxing's face was very ugly. He didn't think that his sworn brothers would be so disloyal, running away in a blink of an eye. How could he face Zhao Fafa like this? At this time the crab shell on Zhao Fafa's face was taken off. His face was full of blood but it wasn't life-threatening. Zhao Fafa's face was filled with fear. This was the first time he was humiliated since he was crowned as one of the Songshan Four Young Masters. In the past he didn't need to say anything to threaten people and they would be scared shitless. This was the first time he met someone like Lin Yi. Wu Liuqi, is this the result of your investigation? Why is this Lin Yi so strong? Zhao Fafa wanted to cry. If he knew that Lin Yi was this ruthless he wouldn't have thought of doing anything to him. But now that he was humiliated he had to take revenge. Bro, Lin Yi is only good at fighting alone in school. I've never heard of him using hidden weapons. Wu Liuqi's face was bitter. Lin Yi was famous in school but that was only in fighting alone. Heibao Bro, Pin Liang and Zhou Ruoming all suffered losses, but Wu Liuqi didn't know about this. He didn't even know the difference between golden class masters, and it was impossible for him to know about the conflicts between Lin Yi, Pin Liang and Zhou Ruoming. He only saw the surface but he realized that he was wrong. Lin Yi, I admit that you're better but it's a small world. This isn't over yet. Zhao Fafa knew that he wouldn't be able to get back at Lin Yi today. He said those words and wanted to leave. From his point of view, Lin Yi wouldn't dare to do anything to him. He was someone with a strong background. Would Lin Yi kill him in front of everyone? Wait, pay the bill first. Lin Yi said faintly. It seemed like he didn't want Zhao Fafa to stay at all. Pay the bill? Lin Yi, don't push me too far. Zhao Fafa's face turned cold as he looked at Lin Yi with hatred. He didn't even have the intention to pay the bill. This concept didn't exist in his dictionary. From his point of view, it was already good enough that he didn't cause trouble for Lin Yi today. Asking him to pay the bill? Push you? Am I pushing you? You're the one who invited me here, aren't you? Lin Yi picked up a crab shell and looked at Zhao Fafa with a smile that wasn't a smile. Lin Yi, honey, you want to throw crab shells again? Alright, throw them on his butt this time. Xiao Xiao said. Zhao Fafa's face darkened. He didn't expect Xiao Xiao to be so evil. She actually used such a dirty trick. He looked at the crab shell in Lin Yi's hand again. Zhao Fafa was really afraid that Lin Yi would throw it out if he didn't like it. Fine. Zhao Fafa gritted his teeth. He decided to endure it today, but there was still time. Zhao Fafa endured the pain in his mouth and asked Sun Xiaoxing to call the waiter. He paid the bill in front of Lin Yi and snorted before leaving the room. Before leaving, Zhao Fafa swore in his heart that he would return the humiliation today 100 times. He was a man with a strong backing. In front of his distant cousin, this Lin Yi was just a piece of trash. All the young masters in Songshan had to give face to his cousin. Zhao Fafa finally felt better after thinking about it. From his point of view, Lin Yi was already someone he could do whatever he wanted to him. Chapter 1309. Lingshan was troubled. How can it be fine? Why don't you put a crab shell on your mouth? Zhao Fafa couldn't help but get angry. You useless piece of trash, these are the men you hired? Dropping the ball at the most crucial moment, giving you 100,000 every month for these ungrateful bastards? Sun Xiaoxing blushed. Hey bro, you can't blame them, you can only blame that Lin Yi kid for being too cruel. I didn't want to ask my cousin for help, but Lin Yi forced me to do it, so don't blame me for being merciless. If my cousin does it, Lin Yi will be crippled even if he doesn't die. Zhao Fafa snorted. Sir, what happened to you? The waiter saw the blood on Zhao Fafa's mouth and quickly reported it to the hotel manager. Since Zhao Fafa was a regular here, the manager took it very seriously. He ran over directly to show his concern for Zhao Fafa. But he didn't know that Zhao Fafa was still holding his anger. He replied angrily after hearing the manager's question. I cut myself on the crab, can't I? Why are you so nosy? What does it have to do with you? The manager was confused by Zhao Fafa's scolding, feeling depressed. He wanted to comfort Zhao Fafa, but he got scolded instead. Then mister, please have a safe journey. The manager could only turn to Zhao Fafa with a smile on his face. In the room, Lin Yi watched as Xiao Xiao gobbled down the food and he couldn't get tired of it. He didn't know when it started, but watching Xiao Xiao eat had become a pleasure for Lin Yi. Xiao Xiao was a girl who didn't put on airs and she didn't try to be polite when eating. She loved to eat and she didn't care about the small things. But because of Xiao Xiao's straightforwardness, Lin Yi liked her more and more. Don't eat too much, we'll take it back later. Lin Yi said. Seafood is a cold type of food. If you eat it right, it will increase the yin energy in your body and it will cause illness. I don't have long to live anyway. If I don't eat more of my favorite food, it'll be a great loss if I die. Xiao Xiao said nonchalantly, but then sighed, man, forget it, I won't eat it. I don't want to die this early, I haven't lived enough yet. I'm really happy to be with you guys every day. Hee, then let's pack it up. Lin Yi said, we can still have a meal at night. Yes. I'll listen to you. Xiao Xiao nodded. Right, Lin Yi honey, what's with that Zhao Fafa? Him. Lin Yi told Xiao Xiao about Zhao Fafa's situation. Lin Yi didn't care about a small fry like this at all. He came with him today because he had nothing better to do and he could even bring Xiao Xiao to a free meal. In fact, it wasn't that Lin Yi couldn't afford the meal, but it was because he was in a different mood. Bringing Xiao Xiao to a free meal made her very excited and happy. This girl really liked to trick people. So that's how it is. Lin Yi honey, you know how to trick people now. Xiao Xiao laughed. Didn't I learn it from you? Lin Yi smiled. Unknowingly, Lin Yi's personality was changing as well. He was influenced by the people around him, and he was different from before. Lingshan had been very busy these days, and according to Huaijuan's analysis, she'd shifted her focus to the marketplace, sending a large number of police officers to all sorts of industries. There was only one direction to investigate, and that was whether or not someone had been offering high rewards to trick people into doing things for them. With a direction to investigate, the results weren't a problem. Very soon the investigation teams all came back with news, and all the clues pointed to one place: underground fighting arenas. After an investigation by the police, they found that there were indeed people looking for waiters, truck drivers, temporary workers, hotel security guards, construction workers, and so on to have a go at it. They offered a very high price tag with a reward of 100,000 to 200,000. For many people it was a certain temptation. Of course, not everyone took the bait or there wouldn't be all these clues. Ling Shan looked at the reports on the table and finally she felt like the dark clouds had been pushed aside, and she could see the clear sky. There was finally a clue to this case. With this important clue the rest would be much simpler. She just needed to find the location of the arena. But this arena? Ling Shan had never heard of it before, so it should be a new illegal place. Ding ding ding. Ling Shan was flipping through the reports when she heard a knock on the door. Ling Shan didn't think much about it and said casually, "Come in." "Ling Shan, are you busy? Do you have time tonight? Want to have dinner together?" It was Xie Yufeng who had left the school temporarily. He didn't have the face to stay in school anymore after what happened that day. "Yes, I'm busy." Ling Shan replied faintly, "There's a case and I have to work overtime tonight. Forget about dinner, we'll talk about it another day." Ling Shan didn't have a good attitude towards Yufeng, but she didn't want to completely piss him off. House Yu was a place that House Song couldn't afford to offend at the moment, and she didn't want to bring trouble to her house because of her stubbornness. She could only force herself to play along, hoping that Yufeng would back off. "Is that so? Another day is fine then." Yufeng didn't force her. He sat on the sofa across from Ling Shan. "Did you get into some trouble? Do you need help? Just ask, I'll see what I can do." "Sorry, the case is confidential." Ling Shan naturally wouldn't say much to Yufeng in case he got involved in her work and life. She wouldn't be able to push him away. "I'm just saying." Yufeng felt a little awkward after hearing that, but there was nothing he could do about it. Ling Shan's confidential made him stop asking. "I'm going to a meeting now, Mr. Yu, please help yourself," Ling Shan said. She didn't want Yufeng to stay in her office any longer. "Alright, I'll be going then. I'll come find you when you're done with your work." Yufeng didn't say much, standing up and leaving the office. Yufeng was very experienced when it came to picking up girls, and he had his own way of dealing with cold beauties like Ling Shan. That was to keep on pestering her. But he couldn't chase her too tightly. As long as he was shameless, he'd succeed. Chapter 13:10. Ling Shan didn't even have the mood to get up and send him off. She didn't know why, but seeing Yufeng made her feel uncomfortable. She felt that he was too fake, that he didn't give her any sense of security at all. It would be a miracle if she had feelings for him. Then she thought of Lin Yi. They were both men, but Lin Yi gave her a completely different feeling. She didn't have a good impression of Lin Yi at first, but that was only limited to the annoyance towards Lin Yi. It was the type where she wanted to fight with Lin Yi whenever she saw him, but it wasn't the type where she hated Lin Yi from the bottom of her heart. Yufeng, on the other hand, was more like disgust. She didn't even want to look at him for a second longer. Now that she thought about it, Lin Yi was very direct sometimes and didn't know how to make her like him, but she really liked his honest way of speaking. Just thinking about Lin Yi made her heart uneasy. She didn't know why, but she wanted to give Lin Yi a call. Just hearing his voice would make her feel better. Ling Shan didn't know if this counted as falling in love with Lin Yi, but she did know that ever since he saved her from the kidney trafficking company's basement, her mentality had changed. She'd given up on everything, and at the same time she'd become attached to Lin Yi. The call went through and she felt a little nervous. What was she supposed to say to Lin Yi? Should she say that she missed him? He'd probably call her Miss Brain Dead or Miss Idiot if she said that. "Hello? Miss Song?" Sup? Lin Yi's impression of Ling Shan was slowly changing. The two were friends now, and Lin Yi naturally couldn't call her Miss Brain Dead or Miss Idiot. But calling her Ling Shan or Shanshan wasn't something he could bring himself to do. Calling her Miss Song would make them feel distant too. So Lin Yi just changed it to Miss Song. There's something. Ling Shan was very happy. It seemed that she'd improved in Lin Yi's impression of her. She'd gone from being an idiot to a little idiot, and now she was a normal girl. Not bad, not bad. What is it? Hurry up and tell me, I'm driving. Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao had just come out of the Tyrant Fish seafood restaurant and were on their way to school. It's like this. Didn't I tell you before about the missing people? Recently there's been a lot of people from all walks of life disappearing mysteriously. Ling Shan said. According to my investigation, It's probably an underground boxing ring that's tricking these people into boxing. So, I wanted to ask you if you know anything about the underground boxing ring. I don't know. Lin Yi said subconsciously before pausing. Wait, what did you say? Underground boxing ring? Yeah, you know about it? Lingshan asked happily. She'd sent people to investigate, but there was no news about the underground boxing ring. But this wasn't a surprise. Lingshan said, smiling happily. Chapter 13:11. Free spokesperson. However, less than 15 minutes after Lin Yi hung up, his phone rang again. Lin Yi thought it was Lingshan, so he picked it up without looking. Little girl, what's up? Little girl. The person on the other side of the phone paused. Lin Yi could tell that it wasn't Lingshan's voice too. You are? I'm not little girl. I'm Su Shirhan. Shirhan was speechless. Why was this guy so vulgar? Calling someone little girl just because he picked up the phone? If she didn't know Lin Yi's personality, she would have thought he was a pervert. Well, that's little girl too. Little girl Su, what's up? Lin Yi said casually, not expecting Shirhan to call him. Su Shirhan was speechless. But whatever, so be it. She really was a little girl, wasn't she? Shirhan didn't care about the title. You said you'd help me make some headache medicine? I'm free today, so I'll go get it and take a picture with your friends. Shirhan's concert in Songshan had ended, and she was preparing to go to another city to continue her concert. So before she left, she wanted to say goodbye to Lin Yi and get some headache medicine. These few days, Shirhan's manager, Wang Sis, had contacted Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and told them that Shirhan was going to be a free spokesperson. Fatty Lai was confused at first. A superstar that couldn't be hired even with money, why did she want to be a spokesperson for free? And so, Fatty Lai suspected Wang Sis's identity. Was she a scammer? But after Wang Sis's explanation, Fatty Lai realized that Shirhan was Lin Yi's patient. Wang Sis didn't hide Su Shirhan's illness from Fatty Lai. Lin Yi and Xiuming both knew about it, so there was no need to hide it from Fatty Lai. Fatty Lai finally understood. It was because of this. So Fatty Lai didn't feel like he owed Su Shirhan anything by letting her be the spokesperson for free. How much could the endorsement fee be? One had to know that when Lin Yi treated patients with difficult-to-treat diseases, he would charge at least 10 million yuan. And so, Fatty Lai called Su Shirhan over and ordered her around shooting promotional videos, shooting as many as he could. He even changed the packaging of Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine to a new one, with Su Shirhan's picture on it. They even added a slogan. Do you want to have the flawless skin of a superstar? Please use Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine to heal the wound perfectly without leaving a scar. Even Wang Sis couldn't stand it anymore. Since when did Su Shirhan get ordered around like a servant? Even with such a high endorsement fee, they didn't shoot so many commercials and films. Wasn't this treating people too lightly? But Su Shirhan smiled and shook her head, indicating that it was nothing. Su Shirhan felt that since Lin Yi treated her as a friend and treated her for free, she should return the favor. Since they were friends, there was no need to be calculative. And Su Shirhan felt that the people around Lin Yi were the same as him. They didn't treat superstars as anything. She was pretty and cute, but this Fatty Lai acted like he didn't see her at all, talking to her with his eyes rolling around, thinking of ways to squeeze all of her value out of her, of course. What Su Shirhan didn't know was that Fatty Lai had already treated her as Lin Yi's spare tire. Who knew when she would become his official girlfriend? Fatty Lai wouldn't have any thoughts about his sister-in-law. But Miracle Dr. Guan's painkiller hadn't been mass-produced yet. There were only a few samples in the company. If Su Shirhan wanted it, she would have to get it from Lin Yi. Today? That's good. Lin Yi didn't have anything to do. I bought a bunch of seafood from the restaurant. Come eat with us. Seafood? Su Shirhan froze, but she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Hey, tell me the address. I'll go there now. The address is Seaview Villa Bay. Lin Yi told Su Shirhan the address. If you can't find it, use the GPS. Okay, wait for me. It was rare for Su Shirhan to have a friend, and they didn't have any ulterior motives. This made Su Shirhan feel at ease playing with them. Otherwise, it would be hard for Su Shirhan to have a close friend. Most women approached her because of her aura, while men approached her because they wanted dirty things. But Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao were different. Both of them were nice, and after interacting with Fatty Lai, Su Shirhan realized that Lin Yi's friends were nice as well. The friends Lin Yi wanted to take photos with were probably nice too. Otherwise, with Lin Yi's arrogant personality, it would be hard for him to accept others. After hanging up, Xiao Xiao asked impatiently, Lin Yi honey, is Su Shirhan coming? Yeah. She'll come to get the medicine later. You guys can play together. Lin Yi seemed to think that Su Shirhan coming to his house was a normal thing. If it were someone else, they'd be excited when a celebrity came to their house. That's great. Then we'll sing karaoke at home and let Su Shirhan sing for us. Xiao Xiao said excitedly. I'll call Tang Yun sis right now. We'll go get her. Lin Yi wasn't a fan, so he didn't understand how Su Shirhan's fans felt. Xiao Xiao told the exciting news to Meng Yao and Yushu as soon as they got home. Tang Yun was happy too, but she wasn't as lively as Xiao Xiao. She only smiled and greeted Meng Yao and Yushu. Tang Yun had become a regular in the villa, and she didn't feel restricted here. Then should we prepare some food for Su Shirhan tonight? Meng Yao was the owner of the villa. She couldn't neglect a guest. What's more, this guest was a superstar. Don't bother, I brought back a bunch of seafood. Lin Yi raised the big bag of food in his hand. I bought it from Tyrant Fish Seafood Restaurant. There was an idiot who treated us today. Idiot? Meng Yao was confused. An idiot who wants to chase after Tang Yun, Lin Yi explained simply, but Lin Yi was too lazy to say anything about Zhao Fafa. Su Shirhan came as soon as she said she would. Lin Yi and the others were talking when the doorbell rang. Evidently, Su Shirhan was ready to leave after the call. They weren't familiar with the roads, but Lin Yi had to go get Tang Yun for a while. Chapter 13:12. Chapter 13:10. Sadness. Su Shirhan didn't wear much this time, probably because she came straight to Lin Yi's place and didn't go anywhere else, so she didn't need to wear anything. Han, you're so pretty today. Xiao Xiao was quite familiar with Su Shirhan by now. You're pretty too. Su Shirhan smiled. Don't just stand there, come in. The group welcomed Su Shirhan in and Xiao Xiao introduced Yushu, Tang Yun and Meng Yao to Su Shirhan. They're all my good friends, like bosom friends. Of course, Xiao Xiao didn't tell them that Tang Yun was Lin Yi's boyfriend. There was no need to tell an outsider about this sort of thing. For now, Tang Yun's identity was just Lin Yi's good friend. Otherwise, it'd be too complicated. Lin Yi nodded to Su Shirhan and took out a bag of painkillers. Here, this should last you a while. Oh, I just got here and you're giving it to me? You're not kicking me out, are you? Su Shirhan took the medicine and joked. I'm just afraid I'll forget. Lin Yi said faintly. There's takeaway food in the kitchen. Go eat if you're hungry. If there's nothing else, you guys have fun. I'm going back to my room. Lin Yi didn't want to join in the fun with Su Shirhan. With a celebrity girl, Lin Yi couldn't think of anything to do with her. Xiao Xiao and the others could ask about Su Shirhan's privacy, but Lin Yi wasn't interested at all. In Lin Yi's eyes, Su Shirhan was no different from a stranger. Who would be interested in a stranger's privacy? Su Shirhan looked at Lin Yi's nonchalant face and couldn't help but roll her eyes. She didn't feel like a celebrity at all here. But it was precisely because of this that Su Shirhan didn't have her usual nervousness and vigilance. It was like she was home, she could relax. As for Meng Yao, Tang Yun and Yushu's questions, Su Shirhan basically answered all of them. After all, Su Shirhan didn't have anything to hide. Other than a headache, it wasn't a big deal. Xiaohan, do you have a boyfriend? Missy also became a little gossipy. After all, these were the things that the fans were most concerned about. Su Shirhan's boyfriend, on the other hand, was the focus of the media. Some fans had tried to match him up, but it was proven that it was just a misunderstanding. Su Shirhan had always been single. But even if she was single, a lot of fans didn't believe it. They all thought that there was an invisible boyfriend behind Su Shirhan. It was just that no one noticed. Not yet, hee, I'm really not lying, I'm not lying. Shirhan smiled. She knew that they would ask these questions. So you're still a virgin? Yushu's questions were always powerful. Su Shirhan blushed and sighed. Lin Yi's friends were really not ordinary people. Oh, so you really are a pure and innocent girl. Yushu liked Su Shirhan even more. Lin Yi listened to the girl's gossipy questions. He couldn't help but shake his head and went back to his room. At night, other than the seafood that Lin Yi brought back from the restaurant, Lin Yi cooked a few more dishes. Although a bunch of seafood was enough, Su Shirhan was still a guest. Lin Yi didn't want the Missy and the others to lose face. Su Shirhan ate the dishes Linny cooked. He was amazed. She never thought that Linny could cook. And it was so delicious. He was even more professional than her housekeeper. Your cooking is really good. It seems like your friend is lucky. Su Shirhan praised. Han, if you like it, come here more often. You're always welcome here. Meng Yao was the owner of the villa. It was a good time to speak. I wanted to Yao Yao, but I won't be staying in Songshan for long. I'll be leaving soon. Shirhan said regretfully. But if I'm free, I'll come and play with you guys. It's fun to be with you guys. There's no pressure. That's great. You'll come more often. Yushu said happily. Man, yeah, you have to come or else I'll die. Xiao Xiao said pitifully. Don't say that. Your boyfriend's medical skills are so good. He'll definitely find a way. Shirhan said. I hope so. Xiao Xiao sighed. Alright, let's not talk about this. Let's eat. Lin Yi didn't want to continue on this topic. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. He didn't have a good solution either. He could only take it one step at a time. After dinner, under Yushu's suggestion, the group started singing karaoke. The Miss House's sound system wasn't inferior to a KTV, and the house was decorated with the highest quality appliances. Su Shirhan adjusted the sound and was very satisfied with it. At first, Su Shirhan sang for everyone, but later on, everyone took turns to sing. What surprised Su Shirhan was that everyone's voice was pretty good, not inferior to her own. With a little training, they would have the potential to become stars. Lin Yi sat on the sofa and listened to the girls singing. It was a very warm feeling. This kind of comfortable life was something Lin Yi didn't dare to imagine before. If he thought about this day, Lin Yi wouldn't have rejected Ning, which caused Lin Yi to brood over it until now. But he missed it. Some things couldn't go back to the past. Plus, the relationship between Lin Yi and House Yu was very tense. Were the hidden House Yu and House Yu on the same side? But no matter what, Lin Yi knew that it was impossible for him to marry Ning right now. The requirements to enter the hidden House Yu were very high and they had high hopes for Ning. They raised her as a member of House Yu. How could normal people enter House Yu's eyes? Lin Yi was only a golden class and now he was only a mystic. House Yu on the other hand had a sky class. This was also the reason why Lin Yi felt inferior. Not only could he not give Yu Ning a stable life, but he also couldn't fight against House Yu. Thinking about the past, Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. But thinking about the life he had now with Tang Yun by his side and Xiao Xiao as a happy person, Lin Yi didn't regret it. No matter what happened, Tang Yun wouldn't leave him. This was the person who would accompany him for life. A sad song pulled Lin Yi back from his thoughts. It was a classic song and Xiao Xiao was slowly singing it out of her mouth. Chapter 13:13. Don't cry, my most loved one. Lin Yi raised his head and looked at Xiao Xiao. The atmosphere in the living room quietened down as well. Everyone's emotions were affected by Xiao Xiao. Don't cry, my most loved one. Tonight I'm like a flower blooming, falling in the most beautiful moment. Your tears can't bring me back. Don't cry, my most loved one, I'll never wake up. Blinking in the most beautiful night, my eyes are the brightest stars. Do you remember when I said proudly, I've been to this world before? Don't tell me what eternity is, I'll die in the most beautiful moment. This song was called Don't Cry, My Most Loved One, and the lyrics were very similar to Xiao Xiao's current situation. This was Xiao Xiao's favorite song, but she rarely sang it in front of people. Now everyone in the room was her friends and they all knew about her body's condition. This song was actually for them all. Do you remember when I said proudly, I've been to this world before? Don't tell me what maturity is, I'll die in the moment it starts. Everyone was affected by Xiao Xiao's emotions and started humming along. Xiao Xiao's face was full of smiles, but her tears couldn't help but flow down her cheeks. She knew that she was definitely going to die this time. Lin Yi kept telling her that he'd think of something, but it wasn't that easy to think of something. If there really was a way, her mother wouldn't have died. These days Xiao Xiao didn't show it, but it was obvious that her body wasn't as good as before. Every night she'd be woken up by a chill, but it was summer right now. Xiao Xiao knew that it was the cold energy in her body being released during her sleep, and so she knew that she didn't have much time left. It should be in the next few days. Today Xiao Xiao was using this song as her last words to tell everyone she loved. The people in this room were all people she cared about, including Shirhan, who she'd just met. They'd only known each other for a short while, but it felt like they'd known each other for a long time. the Miss Tang Yun and Shu's eyes were all wet. Shirhan's eyes were red as well. If someone else were to sing this song it wouldn't be a big deal, but Xiao Xiao was singing it and everyone could understand the meaning behind it. Although Lin Yi did not cry, his heart was still very heavy. He wondered if there was any news from the old man. Who was that medical sage? Would he be able to find his medical notes? After the song, Xiao Xiao wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and smiled at everyone. What's wrong with you guys? Why does it seem so dull? Is it because I don't sing well? How many points can I get? Ha, you sang very well. Tang Yun forced a smile and said. Meng Yao and Yushu laughed and clapped as well while Shirhan stood up. I was too engrossed in it, didn't I? I think it's even better than me. Haha, really? Looks like I can be a singer too. Xiao Xiao said happily. Su Shirhan stayed there until late into the night. Only after Wang Jie called her did she reluctantly leave. The next concert would be held in the city tomorrow. It was time to prepare for the next concert. With the painkiller from Lin Yi, Shirhan didn't have to worry about anything happening, especially since the painkiller was in the form of medicine. Shirhan could put it in a bottle and drink it when she had a headache as if she was drinking water and no one would notice. House Kong was in a mess. A piece of news hit them like a bolt from the blue, making Kong Greifeng and Zhaolong's eyes go wide as they stared at the storehouse full of Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine. Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine changed its packaging. The market had all changed to the new packaging with Shirhan's picture, and the old version was almost extinct. But there were still mountains of it in House Kang's storehouse. That old bastard, why did he change the packaging for no reason? Isn't this a scam? Kong Guifeng didn't know what to do as he looked at the storehouse full of medicine. Zhaolong thought to himself. You're right, they're scamming your dad, scamming my grandpa. The most important thing right now is to sell the goods at a low price, even if it's 10 points lower than the market price. We can still sell it when the market is changing its packaging. If we wait any longer it'll all be gone. Zhaolong sighed. That's the only way. Should we tell your grandpa about this? Kong Guifeng asked. Let's tell him, we can't hide it anyway. But this mistake has given Kong Mingming more credit. One wrong step, all the wrong steps. I made a mistake back then and it caused such a huge loss. Zhaolong smiled bitterly. Dr. Kong was listening to a storyteller at home when he heard Kong Guifeng's report. He almost fainted from anger. What? They'd already lost 5 points to sell the goods and now they had to lose 10 points? How much money would that be wasted? Plus, it wasn't just a problem of losing money. If they couldn't sell enough, they'd lose all the medicine they had. You two useless bastards. Dr. Kong was shaking with anger as he pointed at Kong Guifeng and Zhaolong. Look at what you've done. If you'd listened to Zhao Ming earlier, you wouldn't have ended up like this. House Kong was ruined by you. That. Kong Guifeng wanted to say that although they came up with the idea, you were still the one who made the final decision. You agreed with our point of view too. If you'd agreed with Kong Mingming's point of view, this wouldn't have happened, right? But he couldn't say that out loud. If he did, it would make Dr. Kong even angrier. Kong Guifeng could only lower his head and endure the abuse from Dr. Kong. Go get Zhao Ming, you bastards. Dr. Kong was a very vulgar person, cursing whenever he was angry. Fuck your grandma, you little bastards. Kong Guifeng and Kong Mingming were speechless. Kong Guifeng thought, fuck my grandma? Isn't that your mom? For little bastards, then aren't you an old bastard? Chapter 13-14. Unlucky Dr. Kong Zhaolong was a scheming man, and as much as he didn't want to admit defeat, he knew that he'd lose more points in a situation where he was at a disadvantage. After a few fruitless attempts at shirking responsibility, Zhaolong began to adjust his situation. Temporary tolerance was for the sake of becoming stronger and more powerful in the future. Kong Mingming called it a search for the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, but he was actually going out to have fun and pick up girls. The recipe wasn't that easy to find after all. He didn't have any leads on it yet, so he used this as an excuse to have some fun. When he got the call from Zhaolong saying that something big had happened at home, Kong Mingming didn't dare tarry and rushed back from the dinner table. He didn't get along with Zhaolong, but he still had to rush back to House Kong. Kong Mingming was a spoiled brat, but he wasn't an idiot. If House Kong were to be destroyed, how could he, Kong Mingming, live a good life? But when Kong Ming Ming got back to House Kong and found out what had happened, he let out a sigh of relief. He'd thought that it was something big and that they'd lost some money, but it wasn't a devastating blow to House Kong. Plus, Kong Ming was secretly happy. This was all Xiaolong's doing, and now he'd disappointed his grandpa more and more. The future head of House Kong was going to be him, Kong Ming Ming. Kong Ming Ming could even imagine the amazing life he'd been living. After becoming the head of House Kong, he'd had women on his left and right eating, drinking and having fun. No one could control him, but he could control others. It was the life of an immortal. But on the surface, Kong Ming Ming still spoke with pain. This is a big deal. But what's done is done, and now's not the time to look into it. Uncle and brother didn't do it on purpose, and they didn't want this to happen. Fortunately, we only lost some money and there were no other big problems. Otherwise, our Kong family would not be able to bear the torment. Although Kong Ming Ming said that he wouldn't pursue the matter, it was obvious that he was blaming Kong Guifeng and Kong Xiaolong for this. Xiaoming, House Kong will accept the loss, but now that Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine is selling so well, it's severely affected the sales of our Dr. Kang's golden creation. Those pharmacies that used to beg us to supply them all seem to have disappeared, and they don't even ask for our medicine anymore. Dr. Kong smiled bitterly. I'm afraid that the medical market will soon belong to Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine. Fortunately, they still had the support of the military orders, but how long could they last? I'm afraid that Guan Xuemin will snatch this order away from us. If that happens, the Kong family will be facing a life-and-death crisis. Dr. Kang's words were serious, but if House Kong continued to develop like this, it might really become a reality. Xiaolong, Kong Ming and Kong Guifeng all had worried expressions on their faces. As the saying goes, when the nest is overturned, no eggs remain intact. If House Kong were to collapse, they wouldn't be able to fight for the position of head of the house. So at this moment, the three of them let go of their competitive mentality and lowered their heads with a heavy heart. The reason I called you here is to discuss what our Kong family should do. How should we deal with it? House Kang's future isn't looking good. Dr. Kong sighed. What do you think we should do? Kong Guifeng and Xiaolong looked at each other. They didn't have any good ideas. House Kang's foundation was too weak. They only had the formula for golden creation, and they didn't have any other special effects medicine. If this product was replaced by someone else, then House Kong would have no more products to rely on. House Kang's medicine factory also produced common medicines for headaches and colds, but those were all common formulations. There were too many manufacturers and it wasn't easy to do business. In the past, with Dr. Kang's golden creation's reputation, these medicines could be sold, but now that Dr. Kang's golden creation wasn't doing so well, the sales of these medicines were no different from those of a small medicine factory. They wouldn't starve to death, but it was impossible for House Kong to be as prosperous as it was now. They could only become a normal house, let alone become a noble house. Grandpa, I feel like this is still up to me. I feel that I have a great responsibility. If I can get the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, then everything will be solved. Kong Ming Ming said after some thought. In fact, he didn't know what else to say. That's right. Xiaoming is right. How about it? Are you confident? Dr. Kong nodded in satisfaction. I've been drinking with friends these past few days trying to get to know them better. This can't be rushed, we can only wait and see. After all, the formula is a secret, and it'll be hard to get it through normal means. Kong Ming Ming said. That's true. Keep it up. Dr. Kong said. From today onwards, you can use all the resources of House Kong, but you must give it your all to find the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. No problem, I understand. Kong Ming Ming nodded. Kong Ming Ming was overjoyed when he heard this decision. Did this mean that he was starting to exercise his authority as the young head of the house? He was about to become the young head of the house? Dr. Kang's words made Xiaolong's heart sink. Even though he'd been chosen as the heir by his grandfather, he hadn't given him this many resources. But now Xiaolong was angry, but he couldn't refute it. His only hope now was that Kong Ming Ming messed this up and couldn't get the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. But if he couldn't get the formula, then House Kong would be done for. With House Kang's current situation, if they didn't have a powerful formula, then House Kong would never be able to recover. And so Xiaolong was conflicted. On one hand he hoped that Kong Ming would fail, but on the other hand he didn't want him to fail. If Kong Ming failed, then what was the point of becoming the head of House Kong? It was just a small house, there was no sense of achievement at all. But if Kong Ming succeeded, then Kong Ming would be the head of House Kong. How could he let Kong Ming get the formula, but not become the head of House Kong? Xiaolong started thinking in his mind. He had to find a way that would satisfy both sides. Chapter 13-15. Kong Ming may be a spoiled brat, but he wasn't an idiot. Normal people wouldn't know such an important recipe. It was a business secret, even more serious than a top secret. If this recipe were to be leaked, it would shock all the noble houses. Although Kong Xiaoming agreed with full confidence, it was a bit difficult to actually execute the plan. He was very clear about his own capabilities. He used the old method of bribing Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's vice president, Kong Xiaobo, to get the Golden Creation Medicines formula. But this method wouldn't work on Guan Xuemin. There was no way Guan Xuemin would give the recipe to him. Wouldn't he be an idiot then? So Kong Ming had to use other methods. But for someone like Xuemin, unless he was willing, there was no way he would just hand over the recipe. If he managed to get Guan Xin, he could order her to steal the recipe. Kong Ming was confident. From Kong Ming's point of view, women in love were blind and stupid. Wasn't Xiaofan the same? But Guan Xin was already engaged since she was young, and Kong Ming had no chance at all. Guan Xin was a girl who was already engaged. It was impossible for her to interact with other men before marriage. This made Kong Ming feel helpless. He couldn't get his hands on Guan Xin or Guan Xuemin. It was a little worrying. Kong Xiaoming was worried, but he didn't show it. He quietly left House Kong and went to find Zhu Xiaozhang and Wang Shubin to discuss a solution. Xiaolong, on the other hand, watched Kong Ming's back as he left. He had to do something. Kong Ming had to succeed in finding the recipe, but how could he let him give up the position of head of the house after he succeeded? This was a difficult problem. Xiaolong fell into deep thought. After finding out the exact location of the arena, Lingshan gathered a large number of police officers and surrounded the arena without anyone noticing. But as secretive as Lingshan's movements were, the underground arena's defenses were still very tight. Ever since Air Gooden caused a scene in the arena, Zhang Wen was a little scared. If he let someone like that come a few more times, then there'd be no point in opening the arena anymore. They'd all be killed. And so, Zhang Wen had Scorpion's men pretend to be passers-by and set up traps at the main roads of the arena. Naturally, the traps would alert Scorpion the moment the police cars arrived. Young Master Wen, it's not good. There's a large number of police heading towards the underground arena. Scorpion was shocked when he heard the report from his underlings. What? The police are here? Zhang Wen was shocked. Seriously? How did the police find this place? I don't know, maybe someone leaked the information. Scorpion was troubled as well. He knew that this day would come, but wasn't it a little too fast? His mission was to be the scapegoat for Zhang Wen's crimes. He'd take responsibility for all the crimes that happened in the arena. As for his family, everything had already been arranged, so Scorpion was mentally prepared. It was just that he hadn't had enough yet. But now, even if he didn't want to, he had to stand out. He knew how cruel the firewolves were. If he were to hand Zhang Wen over, then his family would be attacked severely by the firewolves. So he had to take on all the crimes himself. Of course, in the arena, only Scorpion, the professor, and the dead fighter Li knew Zhang Wen's identity. No one else had seen Zhang Wen before, and they didn't even know of his existence. Because of this, it was easy for Zhang Wen to get away with it. Scorpion, I'll leave the rest to you. I'll leave with the professor first. Zhang Wen sighed and decided to give up. He'd earned quite a bit of money from the underground arena recently, and it was enough. He had to let go when it was time. Don't worry, Master Wen, I know what to do. Scorpion gritted his teeth. Master Wen, you and the professor should escape. But at this time Xiao Luozi's phone rang again. Xiao Luozi didn't dare to delay and quickly picked it up. But after listening to the caller's words, his face changed. What's wrong? Zhang Wen's face didn't look right. Master Wen, is bad. The police have surrounded the arena. I'm afraid you and the professor won't be able to escape. Scorpion said. We can only activate the second plan. We need to hurry. Jiang Wen nodded and said decisively. While the police haven't barged in, we'll apply for a break in the middle of the fight and substitute the professor and me. Ling Shan arranged all the police forces and made sure that the people in the arena couldn't escape. She immediately ordered, Lu Wangli, bring a squad with me to arrest the suspect. Is Captain Song? Captain Song. Wang Li immediately brought his men and followed behind Ling Shan. The door of the casino opened abruptly, and Ling Shan brought a group of police officers into the arena. Of course, what Ling Shan didn't know was that there were thugs patrolling the arena's entrance. But in order to not arouse Ling Shan's suspicions, Scorpion ordered the thugs to leave the place quietly. Otherwise, Ling Shan wouldn't have wasted the time to arrange the police force if she'd seen someone guarding the door. She'd have gone straight into the arena and grabbed the thugs at the door, giving Jiang Wen and the professor no time to set up their plans. Don't move, we're the police. Spectators, don't move. Stay in your seats, don't try to escape or resist. Ling Shan rushed in and used the megaphone to speak to the spectators. The spectators jumped when they saw the police rush into the arena. Some of them naturally wanted to run away, but after hearing Ling Shan's words and seeing the armed police behind her, they immediately gave up on the idea of running away. After all, they were just spectators here to watch the fight and gamble. This arena had nothing to do with them, so the punishment wouldn't be too severe. They sat down obediently. Chapter 13-16. Officer Song, it's me. You're finally here. Help me out. I don't want to fight. They forced me to fight. The green-masked boxer suddenly shouted. He waved his hands and shouted for help in the ring. Help, Officer Song. This sudden turn of events startled Ling Shan. How did this boxer know her? After the green-masked boxer finished, the white-masked boxer opposite him started yelling as well. Ah? Is the police here? That was great. Help me too, I'm regretting it. I don't want to fight anymore, I don't want the money anymore, I want my life. You guys take care of the audience and notify Team 2 to come in. Search for the organizer, I'll go take a look at these two boxers. Ling Shan felt that the green-masked boxer's voice was very familiar. All right, Captain Song. Lu Wangli nodded. During the analysis of the case, everyone had come to the same conclusion. The underground arena used illegal methods such as seduction, kidnapping, and other methods to get people to fight, so the two boxers in the ring should be victims as well. They weren't dangerous, and Lu Wangli wasn't worried about Ling Shan getting into trouble alone. Plus, Ling Shan was a golden class late phase peak. There was nothing to be afraid of. Ling Shan walked up and looked at the two boxers in the ring. May I ask who you are? Why are you fighting here? Officer Song, it's me. The green-masked boxer pulled off his mask, revealing his face. It was Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen's face was on the verge of tears. I'm Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen, why are you here? Why did you come here? Ling Shan naturally was familiar with Jiang Wen. He was one of the victims of the kidney trafficking company, but why was he here? How could he be so miserable? I went to the hospital to get my kidneys checked and someone told me that he knew a folk doctor who could cure my kidneys and restore my manhood, so I came, Jiang Wen said with a pained face. Only when I got here did I realize that I'd been tricked. They gave me a stimulant shot and told me to fight on the stage, telling me that if I didn't want to die, I'd be beaten to death. Fuck, I was scared to death. Ling Shan looked at Jiang Wen sympathetic. Why was this guy so unlucky? How could he be arrested for looking at a kidney? Ling Shan's face darkened when he said things like weak kidneys and masculinity. It's fine now. Come with me to the police station to make a statement. Ling Shan, on the other hand, didn't doubt Jiang Wen's words. After all, Jiang Wen was a fighter and he stood in the ring. From what she knew, a young master like Jiang Wen wouldn't fight in the ring no matter how much money was offered. It was a joke with his life. Me, officer, I was tricked here. A blonde told me that he'd give me 200,000 if I did some bodybuilding, but I didn't expect it to be a fighter. I'm not fighting anymore, I'll lose my life if I keep fighting. The person speaking was the white-masked man who was actually the professor. He and Jiang Wen went on the stage to replace the two fighters, and since the police had rushed into the arena, the audience didn't realize that the fighters had been replaced. Of course, they weren't paying attention to it. They couldn't even protect themselves, so how could they have the time to study the people on the stage? Plus, the people on the stage were all wearing masks and they were so far away. No one could tell if the fighters had been replaced or not. Jiang Wen and the professor made use of this to put on a good show of escaping on the stage like a cicada slipping out of its shell. Okay, you'll come with me to the police station to make a statement. Ling Shan nodded. Jiang Wen and the professor sighed in relief after hearing Ling Shan's words. But it wasn't Ling Shan's fault. In the entire arena, other than the dead fighter Li, only Scorpion knew about Jiang Wen and the professor's identities. Scorpion, however, wouldn't tell anyone about it. At this moment, Scorpion was brought out without any resistance. His face was very calm as this moment would come sooner or later. The underground arena was completely destroyed in one night. In the interrogation room, little Scorpion didn't resist at all. He confessed all the crimes he committed. As for the whereabouts of the underground arena's funds, little Scorpion revealed an international gang. This gang was the Fire Wolf gang's enemy, so little Scorpion didn't mind using this opportunity to create some trouble for them. Of course, the Fire Wolves had already taken care of the details, and they couldn't find any problems with the bank accounts. For a large criminal organization like the Fire Wolf gang, it was easy to create this kind of fake evidence. It was not difficult at all. So, even if Ling Shan and the others did a thorough investigation, they wouldn't be able to link it to Jiang Wen, the professor, or even the Fire Wolves. The destruction of the underground boxing arena had no effect on most people. Only those who had gambled in the underground boxing arena had received varying degrees of punishment. Life went on, but Xiao Xiao was getting lazier and lazier. She couldn't seem to wake up, and she didn't want to go to school either. She stayed at home and didn't want to go out. She turned on the heater in her bedroom, covered in a thick blanket, and sneezed non-stop. Lin Yi, the Miss Shu, and Tang Yun were all worried, but there was nothing they could do. The cold energy in Xiao Xiao's body was getting stronger and stronger, invading her entire body. That was why she felt so cold on a hot day like this. Knowing that she didn't have much time left, Lin Yi, the Miss Shu, and Tang Yun all stopped going to school. They stayed in the villa to spend the last years of her life with Xiao Xiao. They'd finished their high school courses a long time ago, and it was revision time now. With the Miss Shu and Tang Yun's self-learning abilities, it wouldn't be a problem even if they didn't go to school. The three of them had their own specialties and they could complement each other. Xiao Xiao, what are you doing? Tang Yun looked curiously at Xiao Xiao fiddling with the yarn. I want to knit a sweater for Shield Bro, Xiao Xiao said. I want to leave something for him as a souvenir, but I don't think I can last that long. I'll die before I finish, so I think I should knit a scarf. But I'm afraid I won't be able to finish it. Chapter 13-17. It's fine, I'll do it myself. Xiao Xiao shook her head, rejecting Yushu for the first time. This was her gift to Lin Yi, and she didn't want anyone else's help. How stingy. Yushu wasn't too happy about the rejection. BSP, Shu, stop messing around. Xiao Xiao's right, let her do it herself. Only the things she weaves with her own hands have meaning. If you want, you can weave one yourself. Meng Yao said. Oh. Yushu nodded and didn't say anything else. Lin Yi sat on the side feeling down. This was the first time Lin Yi felt so helpless. Before, no matter what happened, Lin Yi would always think of a way to solve it, but now he couldn't think of anything. Just when Lin Yi was at his wit's end, old Lin's call finally came. Old man, you finally called. Lin Yi was excited. Lin Yi's only hope was on old Lin. That ancient medicine saint you mentioned last time, is there any news? I did, but it's bad news. Old man Lin sighed and said, don't be too sad when I say it. I found it, but why is it still bad news? Could it be that the fire spirit's fruit doesn't exist? Lin Yi paused and asked worriedly. Whether it exists or not, I can't say for sure, but I've never seen it before. Old Lin said, this ancient medicine saint is called Zhang Liju. I've confirmed that it's him, but his medical notes weren't passed down to the world. It's said that he brought it to his grave, so this trail ends here. What? Zhang Liju? Lin Yi heard the words and gasped. You're saying that his medical notes might be in his grave? Yes, why are you so excited? Old Lin didn't understand. Of course I'm excited. Lin Yi laughed heartily. He wasn't unfamiliar with the name Zhang Liju. He'd heard it more than once from Bojia and Lingshan. The tomb Lingshan was going to, wasn't it the holy Dr. Zhang's tomb? According to old Lin's deduction, Zhang Liju's medical notes hadn't been passed down to the world, which meant that it was most likely in his grave. In ancient times, People had the mindset that the teacher would starve to death if the student was taught. Even the kindest person would have this sort of concern, and so a lot of knowledge and culture was lost. So, if this Zhang Liju had the medical notes, then it was possible that it was in his tomb. You know this Zhang Liju too? Old Lin could sense something from Lin Yi's craziness. Yes, and not only that, I also know where his tomb is. Lin Yi didn't expect that things would suddenly take a turn for the better. It was a complete coincidence that he had lent a helping hand, but it had led to this opportunity. Are you for real? Old Lin was in disbelief. Of course, it's actually a bit of a coincidence. It's like this. Lin Yi told Old Lin about how he saved Bojia. I didn't think that you would have this kind of opportunity. Perhaps the heavens don't want Xiao Xiao to have such a tragic life. Old Lin sighed, but you need to be prepared. She wouldn't be able to handle them if they had masters. Chapter 13-18. Sure, but I can't give you the original. Lingshan had her principles. Lingshan had her own principles. She might have a good relationship with Lin Yi, but she couldn't change her principles. I don't need the original. Lin Yi just wanted to look at his medical notebooks. Original or not wasn't of any use to him. After confirming this, Lin Yi didn't tell Xiao Xiao and the others. After all, there was no progress yet. Just like Old Lin said, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. It was better to wait until there was a result. What Lin Yi was afraid of the most was that even if the fire spirit's fruit was recorded in the medical notes, it wouldn't be easy to find. And so, these days Lin Yi started studying the map Bojia gave him. This grave-robbing mission was very important to Lin Yi, and he couldn't afford to be careless. He had to succeed. 3 days later, Lin Yi was studying the map in his room when a scream came from outside. The door was pushed open and Yushu rushed in. Shield bro, quick. Xiao Xiao fainted again, go save her. Lin Yi was shocked. He quickly put down the map and ran upstairs with Yushu. Why did Xiao Xiao faint? I don't know. She said she was cold and wanted to take a hot shower. We didn't think much of it, but it's been an hour since Xiao Xiao went into the bathroom. We got worried and went to check only to find her unconscious in the bathtub. Yushu said with a sigh. Lin Yi nodded. He had foreseen this situation a long time ago. Xiao Xiao's illness would act up in the next few days. Even if it didn't act up today, it would happen tomorrow or the day after. But his heart was still heavy at the moment. Right, Xiao Xiao isn't wearing any clothes. Shield bro, you can do something to her. Yushu said suddenly. Huh? Lin Yi smiled bitterly and didn't say anything. Shu looked like an idiot, but Lin Yi knew that she was joking after seeing his heavy expression. Lin Yi walked into the bathroom quickly and saw Xiao Xiao in the bathtub. Tang Yun and Meng Yao were worried as well, but they couldn't do anything. They didn't dare move Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi didn't say much and carried Xiao Xiao into the bedroom, putting her on the bed. He then bit his wrist and let the blood flow onto Xiao Xiao's body. You need to be prepared. This situation isn't looking good. Jiao Yazi's voice sounded in Lin Yi's ear. Oh. Jiao Lao, what's going on? Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat when he heard Jiao Yazi's voice. This situation is more serious than I thought. The cold energy has entered every corner of her body and it's too strong. I can feel it, Jiao Yazi said. Lin Yi's heart sank. Then this time, give it a try but don't force it. Don't die from blood loss before you can save her. Jiao Yazi sighed. Lin Yi nodded and let his blood flow onto Xiao Xiao's body. Time passed, but Xiao Xiao didn't look any better today. On the other hand, Lin Yi's face was getting paler and paler. There was a limit to the amount of blood in a human body. If a normal person lost more than 15% of their blood, they'd go into shock and 30% would be life-threatening. But Lin Yi's body was stronger than a normal person's, and he was losing more than 50% of his body's blood. A normal person would have died a long time ago. You can't do this anymore. If you keep bleeding, you'll be in trouble. Even if the art of dragon mastery can heal you, it'll still be dangerous. You're losing too much blood and I'm afraid you'll just die. Jiao Yazi warned. Lin Yi shook his head. He didn't stop. Xiao Xiao wasn't getting any better, so he couldn't stop. This was his last chance. If Lin Yi gave up, that meant that Xiao Xiao would never wake up again. And so Lin Yi channeled the art of dragon mastery, using it to quickly replenish his energy, allowing his body to continue producing blood. but the time needed to produce blood wasn't enough to keep up with the rapid blood loss. Even with the replenishment of energy, it didn't help. Even someone as strong as Lin Yi was starting to feel dizzy. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Lin Yi reminded himself that he had to hold on until the end. This was his last hope. If Xiao Xiao didn't wake up, then even if he found Zhang Liju's medical notes and the fire spirit's fruit, what use would it be? He couldn't give up, he couldn't. Tang Yun, Meng Yao and Yushu watched as Lin Yi's face grew paler and paler. They were worried for him, but they couldn't say anything to disturb him. They could only pray for Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao. Do you still want to continue? Have you ever thought that you might die? Jiao Yazi was panicking. Lin Yi was basically committing suicide. Jiao Lao, don't try to talk me out of it. I know what I'm doing. Even if it's dangerous, I have to keep doing it, I have no other choice. Lin Yi said to Jiao Yazi in his mind, Jiao Lao, there's no way out for me. If I give up, then it'll be useless even if I get the fruit. Man. Jiao Yazi sighed and shut his mouth, not saying anything else. Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao's face getting blurry and he couldn't hold on much longer. Was this all fate? He'd worked so hard for so long, fought for so long and still couldn't escape this day? Lin Yi felt himself getting weaker and weaker as if he was hallucinating. He thought he saw Xiao Xiao's smile again and heard her sad voice. Remember when I said proudly, I've been to this world before, don't tell me what eternity is, I'll be destroyed in the brightest moment. The next moment, Lin Yi didn't know what was going on anymore. He fainted on the ground. Even a practitioner couldn't handle this much blood loss, and Lin Yi was forced into the jade space. Chapter 13-19. Why aren't you using this time to recover your stamina? What are you doing sitting there like an idiot? Jiao Yazi scolded Lin Yi angrily. Lin Yi froze. Jiao Yazi's words woke him up from his sadness. Yes, there was hope as long as he was alive. He didn't know if Xiao Xiao was dead or alive, but that didn't mean there was no hope. After his body recovered, he could think of a way to save Xiao Xiao. As long as Xiao Xiao wasn't dead by the time he woke up, then there was still a chance. With that thought, Lin Yi said to Jiao Yazi seriously, Jiao Lao, thank you. That sentence of yours was like a wake-up call, calming me down. Don't worry, I'll try my best to recover. Okay, as long as you can think it through, Jiao Yazi nodded. Lin Yi closed his eyes and sat cross-legged, channeling the art of dragon-taking, making his body absorb the energy quickly. Time passed quickly as he cultivated, and Lin Yi, who was forced into the jade space, was in a state of unconsciousness. He couldn't sense what was going on outside and had to wait until his body recovered to a certain extent before he could re-establish contact with the outside world. Feng Tianlong rushed to the villa after receiving Tang Yun's call. Although they were father and daughter, it wasn't good for Xiao Xiao to be naked. After all, Xiao Xiao was a grown-up now. Therefore, Tang Yun stopped Feng Tianlong at the door of the bedroom. Uncle Feng, please wait a moment. Yao Yao and Shu are helping Xiao Xiao get dressed. She went to take a shower and fainted in the bathroom. Okay. How is Xiao Xiao? Can she be saved? Feng Tianlong rushed over as soon as he received the call, but Tang Yun didn't explain clearly on the phone, so he asked anxiously as soon as he entered the room. This time, Tang Yun's expression darkened. To be honest, Tang Yun didn't like Xiao Xiao at first, and she agreed to Feng Tianlong's request because she had no other choice. But now Tang Yun truly liked Xiao Xiao. She was worried for her and didn't want her to leave. Tang Yun didn't finish her sentence, but Feng Tianlong understood what she meant. He nodded silently and walked into the bedroom with her. Xiao Xiao was already dressed by Meng Yao and Yushu, and when Tianlong walked in he saw Lin Yi lying beside Xiao Xiao. He couldn't help but gasp, he. At first Tianlong thought that Lin Yi was treating Xiao Xiao, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to be lying beside Xiao Xiao. He didn't know if he was asleep or... Lin Yi lost too much blood to save Xiao Xiao and fainted. Tang Yun sighed. She was worried, but she knew that Lin Yi had strong recovery abilities. She didn't need to worry too much. Then Xiao Xiao. Feng Tianlong's face was very ugly. Lin Yi had lost too much blood and Xiao Xiao wasn't awake yet. It was obvious what this meant. I don't know yet. She's not awake yet, but although her heartbeat and breathing are weak, but... Tang Yun wanted to say that she wasn't dead, but that didn't sound good, so she didn't say it. She believed that Feng Tianlong would understand. Sigh. Feng Tianlong looked at his daughter on the bed, frowning. Was this day really coming? As expected, they couldn't escape from this curse. Xiao Xiao couldn't hold on and followed in the footsteps of his wife. Looking at the pale-faced Lin Yi, Feng Tianlong was filled with guilt. He felt that he had wronged him. If it weren't for his request, Lin Yi wouldn't have anything to do with Xiao Xiao, and wouldn't have gotten involved in this. But now Lin Yi was treating Xiao Xiao as his own responsibility, sparing no effort. Lin Yi not only saved her twice from bad guys, but also pulled her back from the gates of hell. This kind of friendship was hard to come by. Not to mention a fake couple, even a real couple would not be able to do this. Husband and wife were birds in the same forest, but when faced with a disaster they would fly away separately. This wasn't just a saying, there were too many examples. But Lin Yi was willing to sacrifice his own body for Xiao Xiao. Feng Tianlong didn't know how to repay him. Uncle Feng, what are you doing? Tang Yun quickly stood up and stopped Feng Tianlong. Yeah, Uncle Feng, we're good friends with Xiao Xiao, good sisters. This is nothing. Meng Yao added, ever since Xiao Xiao came to the villa, she's brought a lot of joy to everyone. Yeah, we've formed a troublemaking duo ready to sweep the universe. Yushu said as well. Alright, then I won't be unreasonable. If you're tired, go to sleep first. I'll wait here for Xiao Xiao and Yi to wake up. Feng Tianlong looked at the time. It's already 3 in the morning, I don't want to disturb your rest. It's fine, we're worried about Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao. Tang Yun shook her head. The two people she cared about the most were still unconscious. How could she be in the mood to sleep? Meng Yao and Yushu didn't say anything, but it was obvious that they thought the same. Seeing that his daughter had so many good friends, Feng Tianlong was touched again. Lin Yi quickly absorbed the energy in the jade space. In order to wake up sooner, Lin Yi compressed all the energy around him and absorbed it into his body. This way he could absorb more pure qi in the same amount of time. But when the pure qi was released in his body, it gave Lin Yi immense pain. It was like small energy bombs exploding in his body. Although it was his own energy, it was still very uncomfortable for Lin Yi. But Lin Yi didn't care about that anymore. His only thought was to recover quickly and use his blood to heal Xiao Xiao. Seeing Lin Yi's crazy actions, Jiao Yazi didn't stop him. If Lin Yi wanted to suffer, then so be it. As long as it wasn't too dangerous, Jiao Yazi didn't want to interfere. Chapter 1320. Lin Yi saw Tianlong and the unconscious Xiao Xiao beside him. Jiao Lao, is there still hope? Lin Yi's body had recovered a lot and he looked a lot better than before. It's hard to say. The severity of the situation has exceeded my expectations. The frost has basically invaded her meridians. And from a normal perspective, there's nothing we can do. Even if you manage to wake her up, it'll only be a day or two. Jiao Yazi said, can you find the fruit in a day or two? I don't think it's possible. Lin Yi took a deep breath. A day or two? Even if it's just a day or two, I have to try. I can't just watch her die. Do what you want, you won't give up until you see the end of the road. Xiao Xiao has already developed a resistance to your blood, which means that the Yin frost in her body has reached a certain level, and your blood can't suppress it anymore. Jiao Yazi said. I know, no need to say more. Even a day or two is good enough. Lin Yi said, it's Xiao Xiao's birthday soon and I don't want her to have any regrets. I haven't celebrated her birthday with her yet. Feeling that his body was almost healed, Lin Yi quickly left the jade space and came back to reality. Lin Yi had been using his senses to check on Xiao Xiao's condition, and it was good that there was still life, so Lin Yi could rest easy and recover. After waking up, Lin Yi didn't bother talking to Tianlong. He bit his wrist and let the blood flow onto Xiao Xiao's body. Tianlong was relieved to see Lin Yi wake up, but at the same time he felt lucky. Xiao Xiao was in trouble, and if something happened to Lin Yi, how could he live with his conscience? Especially when Lin Yi was Lin Dongfang's disciple. Something happened to him, how would he answer to him? But the first thing Lin Yi did when he woke up was bite his wrist and continue healing Xiao Xiao. This made Tianlong's heart ache. He didn't know what to say. Lin Yi really cared about Xiao Xiao. Lil Yi, don't force yourself. Life and death are decreed by fate. You've already tried your best. Xiao Xiao is already like this, you can't harm your own body like this. Tianlong knew how important blood was to the human body. Although Lin Yi was a practitioner, he was also a practitioner. She'd lost too much blood to the point of fainting, And it was already a miracle that she could wake up without blood transfusion. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was giving her blood after waking up? Wasn't he looking to die? Don't worry. Lin Yi said faintly, I've almost recovered. I have to try everything. If I don't try, I won't be satisfied. Tang Yun, Meng Yao, and Yushu all fell silent after hearing Lin Yi's words. They all knew Lin Yi's personality. He would do what he said. Lin Yi's heart was conflicted. He wouldn't give up. Xiao Xiao's face was still pale and motionless, but Lin Yi still insisted on pouring his blood on Xiao Xiao's body. Time passed and Lin Yi's face turned even paler and scarier, but Lin Yi didn't give up. The atmosphere in the room was very tense. No one spoke. Everyone was silent and their eyes were on Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao. Finally, Xiao Xiao's eyelashes moved. She really moved. Yushu cried out. Ha! A happy smile appeared on Lin Yi's face. It seemed that Xiao Xiao had come back from the gates of hell. Tianlong's face was filled with joy and surprise as well. He didn't think that Lin Yi would be able to save Xiao Xiao this time. Xiao Xiao, are you awake? Tianlong ran over, a little excited. Xiao Xiao opened her eyes in a daze and looked at the people in the room, surprised. I'm awake? I'm still alive? Yeah, you're still alive. Lin Yi nodded. Lin Yi, honey, you saved me again? Xiao Xiao looked at the pale face of Lin Yi, his wrist still bleeding. He felt a little bad. Yeah, Shield Bro lost a lot of blood to save you and fainted. Yushu nodded, but he kept saving you after he woke up. Shoo. Meng Yao stopped her from saying any more. Xiao Xiao would feel even worse if she said all this, wouldn't she? As expected, a sad expression appeared on Xiao Xiao's face. Lin Yi, honey, I'm really sorry. I'm not worth it. Even if I were alive, I wouldn't be able to last more than a few days. I can feel that the cold energy is still stirring, it's just being suppressed for now. I know it's your birthday the day after tomorrow. After this day you'll break the curse of dying before you're 20. Maybe things will turn around. Lin Yi said. Oh, really? It's my birthday the day after tomorrow? Xiao Xiao didn't even remember her birthday. Tianlong had been busy with work, and she didn't have any close friends, so she didn't remember her birthday. She didn't think that he would remember her birthday at all. I saw it on your ID. Lin Yi smiled. Alright, don't say such depressing things. Everything's fine now. Xiao Xiao nodded after some hesitation. Yes, no matter what, she was alive again. Who cared how long she had left? She couldn't let Lin Yi down, could she? The sky was starting to lighten and the three girls hadn't slept the entire night. Xiao Xiao had just woken up, but she was very tired as well. After talking for a while, she started yawning. Lin Yi didn't know what to say, but he didn't know what to say. Rest early, everyone. I'm going back to my room to rest as well. Lin Yi said. I'm going back too. I shall listen to Lin Yi here. Tianlong had work to do too. The Red Conch incident wasn't solved yet. Who knew what they were planning next? Luckily, Xiao Xiao was in the villa now, so they didn't have to worry about the Red Conches attacking. After leaving the room, the smile on Lin Yi's face disappeared, replaced with a worried look. Tianlong, who followed him out, saw the change in Lin Yi's expression, but he wasn't too surprised. How long can Xiao Xiao last this time? Even if it was real, there's a lot of coincidence involved, so if she freezes to death and can't recover, that's fine. Lin Yi, on the other hand, had a happy smile on his face. As long as Xiao Xiao's body didn't change, Lin Yi had his omnipotent energy, and he should be able to revive her. Everything was ready, and all that was left was the fire spirit's fruit. Seeing the smile on Lin Yi's face, Feng Tianlong didn't say much. Lin Yi must have a plan. Alright, I'll get someone to prepare and make another ice coffin. Feng Tianlong didn't dare delay and immediately prepared to make the arrangements. When you froze Auntie Susu back then, did you think that she could be healed in the future? Lin Yi asked. Yes, Miracle Dr. Lin Dongfang said that if a sky class were to help, Susu could be saved, but... Sky class? Feng Tianlong smiled bitterly. I've already begged, but no sky class would risk losing a level to save a normal person. You've seen a sky class before? Lin Yi looked at Feng Tianlong, shocked. He didn't think that he'd come into contact with a sky class. It's fine, I'm just a normal person now, let's not talk about that. Feng Tianlong evidently didn't want to talk about the past. He shook his head and didn't say anything else. Lin Yi saw Feng Tianlong's face and knew that he didn't want to talk about it anymore, so he didn't force him. If that's the case, then I'm relieved. If it's possible, I'll find 2 fire spirits fruits and give one to Auntie Susu, but if there's only one, please forgive me, Uncle Feng, I can only give it to Xiao Xiao. If the fire spirit's fruit is split, no one can guarantee that it won't have any effect. You love your wife, but I also want my wife to live. I know, I understand. Feng Tianlong couldn't help but laugh after hearing Lin Yi's words. She's still my daughter. I believe that if I really gave the one and only fire spirit's fruit to Susu, even if she came back to life and knew that I didn't save Xiao Xiao, she would still kill me. Lin Yi nodded. Feng Tianlong was right. Which parent didn't want their child to be safe and happy? Even if they died, it didn't matter. He believed that if Xiao Susu woke up, she would have the same thought. Lin Yi believed that if he and Xiao Xiao had a child and Lin Yi found a fire spirit's fruit, Xiao Xiao would definitely give it to the child and not herself. After sending Feng Tianlong away, Lin Yi's mood brightened up. The dark clouds were swept away. As long as he solved the problem of time, everything else wasn't a problem. The fire spirit's fruit, Lin Yi believed that if he worked hard he would definitely be able to find it. Even if he couldn't find it, he could wait until he leveled up to Sky Class to cure Xiao Xiao's illness. Drop levels? Lin Yi wasn't afraid. Did he drop too little? Because Xiao Xiao always dropped to 0, so this was the result no matter what, right? Negative levels. Chapter 1322. Zhang Wen and the professor got out of the police station without much hassle. They were victims after all, and Ling Shan only investigated how they got caught and tricked before letting them go. The problem now was that Scorpion had confessed, but they couldn't get the money back. This made Ling Shan a little depressed. According to Scorpion, he was from the international criminal organization Red Conches. His purpose here was to get money for Red Conches, and the other was to work as an information center. Red Conch had been stirring up a storm in Songshan recently, so Ling Shan didn't doubt Scorpion's words. Red Conch couldn't even catch the people from the occult investigation department, let alone Ling Shan. This wasn't something she cared about, and so the underground arena case had to end here. After this case was over, Ling Shan would have to focus on the grave robbing case. This was a battle of wits and courage against criminals, and Ling Shan had to give it her all. After the underground arena case was over, Xie Yufeng continued to visit her every day. Ling Shan was annoyed, but there was nothing she could do about it. Sometimes she really wanted Lin Yi to break his legs so he wouldn't bother her anymore. Ling Shan, you're finally done with the case, right? I saw the papers, it was a complete victory. Congratulations, you've done a meritorious deed again. Yufeng had been paying attention to Ling Shan. She said that she was busy with the case, and Yufeng knew that it was an excuse, but she really was busy. After the case was over, Yufeng planned to ask her out for a meal again. He'd like to see if she had any reason to reject him this time. That's because of everyone's hard work. Ling Shan said faintly, do you have something to say? I've booked a table at Starlight Hotel tonight. I'm planning to hold a celebratory feast for you. How about it? Are you free tonight? Yufeng smiled. Sorry, not tonight, there's another case. Ling Shan waved the file in her hand. I have to work overtime tonight, maybe next time. Yufeng was very troubled, and his face didn't look too good after hearing Ling Shan's words. But Ling Shan's reason was reasonable, and he couldn't say anything about it. He gritted his teeth. All right, I'll be going then. Ling Shan frowned as she watched Yufeng leave. This guy had been chasing after her for a long time, and he'd always been a problem. She could brush him off now, but what would happen in the long run? There would come a day when Xie Yufeng would get impatient, and when would he get impatient? What would happen? At that time, House Song and House Yu might just fall out. What would happen to House Song's future then? Ling Shan wasn't in a good mood at the thought. If it weren't for this marriage with Ling Shan's current potential, it would have been normal for her to have a seat in the noble house meeting, and so Ling Shan was very happy. But now with the marriage with House Yu, things were different. On the surface, it looked like House Yu's support would make House Song stronger. But the problem was that Ling Shan didn't like Yufeng. If she didn't have anyone she liked, then it'd be fine. For the sake of House Song, Ling Shan wouldn't mind. But now that she had someone she liked with her personality, she'd rather die than be with Yufeng. But this meant that there would be conflict. It was easy to get engaged but hard to break off. This wasn't just about Yufeng lusting after her, it was about the face of the house. Of course, if House Yu broke off the engagement first, then House Song would have no choice but to accept it. After all, House Yu was strong, and in the noble house rankings whoever was stronger had the right. The situation was reversed, and House Song was the weaker. If they broke off the engagement, House Yu might get angry and do something outrageous. There was a knock on the door and Ling Shan sighed. "Come in." It was Yu Tian. He was invited by Ling Shan to discuss the grave robbing. "Ling Shan, what's wrong? Why do you look so sad?" Yu Tian might have given up on pursuing Ling Shan, but he still cared about her. Her every movement and smile were all under Yu Tian's observation. Naturally, he had to ask when he saw the worried look on Ling Shan's face. "Yu Tian bro, you're here." Ling Shan forced a smile. "Isn't it House Yu's Yufeng? He came again just now and said that he had booked a table at the Starlight Hotel. He wants me to go tonight and have a celebratory feast for me. He's here again." Yu Tian frowned. "Can't he tell that you don't like him?" "He can tell, but so what?" Ling Shan shook her head. "Didn't you see that too? You still don't give up?" "I'm different, at least I'm not as persistent as him." Yu Tian felt a little awkward, but he seems to be a little too persistent. Who knows? I don't know how to reject him either. Ling Shan said, "The noble house meeting is coming up and I don't want House Song and House Yu to turn against each other. It doesn't benefit House Song at all. But how about this? I talk to Yufeng. We're both men, it's easier to talk. If we ask him to give up and back off, it won't affect House Song and House Yu." Yu Tian sighed. "Let Yufeng cancel the engagement, that way we can save our face." Yu Tian sighed. "It's no use, Yufeng's different from you, he's someone who won't give up until he gets what he wants. I see the possessiveness in his eyes, he won't give up that easily." Ling Shan smiled bitterly. "He's an unreasonable person. No matter what, we still have to try." Yu Tian had a rough idea of Yufeng's personality from what Ling Shan told him, domineering and unreasonable. But seeing how troubled Ling Shan was, he wanted to share some of her burden. "It's fine, I don't want to drag you and House Chen into this," Ling Shan said with a wave of her hand. "Your House Chen can't even save yourself, it'll be good enough if you can stay in the noble house meeting. Maybe I should talk to Lin Yi about it? Maybe he can do something?" Yu Tian asked after some thought. "We'll talk about it later, Lin Yi seems pretty busy these days." Ling Shan said, "Let's just brush him off for now, we'll talk to him if it really doesn't work." Chapter 1323. "Alright, we'll talk about it later then." Yu Tian nodded. This was Ling Shan's private matter after all, and he couldn't say too much about it. He was just giving a suggestion from a friend's perspective. "Yu Tian bro, I called you here to discuss the operation in a couple of days. I actually have some good news for you." Ling Shan shook her head, throwing Yufeng's worries to the back of her head. "Oh, what good news?" Yu Tian paused. "Don't tell me that Lin Yi agreed to join this operation?" "That's right, you're right." Ling Shan nodded. "With Lin Yi joining us, this operation might be a lot smoother. Yeah, we're both golden class and you're a golden class late phase peak. But facing those evil grave robbers, I'm still worried that something might go wrong." Yu Tian nodded. "But this way Lin Yi and I will be the couple and you'll only be the follower," Ling Shan said, a little embarrassed. "Naturally, don't worry, I won't have any thoughts. I've thought it through already." Yu Tian smiled. "I support you and Lin Yi being together. I still have some thoughts but I've let it go." "Alright, then this operation is set. Me, Lin Yi and you will do it together. As for the others, you don't need to bring them," Ling Shan said. "According to the information, the couple likes to work alone, and they don't like to bring too many underlings. Sometimes they only bring one follower. In fact, it's not always good to have more people in a grave robber. There's a lot of traps in the graveyard and one mistake and you'll die. It's fine if you have a good follower, but normal followers are just a burden." "That's true," Yu Tian said. "When do we leave?" "I've already contacted the other grave robbers. You better follow up on Bujia's side." "I can't do much. He said he told us everything he knows, but I feel like he's hiding something." Ling Shan shrugged, a little regretful. "This guy's really tight-lipped. Other than the things he told us, no matter what I did, he never spilled anything. However, his words were too rigorous and his thoughts were too clear. Even if a normal person were to tell the truth, there would still be some mistakes or omissions when saying the same truth so many times. However, he didn't. It was as if he had prepared a draft. This person's mind is too meticulous, but he's an expert in learning, so it's normal for his IQ to be higher than ordinary criminals. Qin Yutian said, but you don't have to worry about it too much. I think he probably told Lin Yi what he didn't say. It's probably about the medical books in Zhang Liju's tomb. It doesn't have much to do with us. That's possible. Ling Gui remembered that Bojia said he was going to give Lin Yi something. To Lin Yi, the only things that counted as benefits were money and medical books. Bojia didn't know Lin Yi, but he knew that Lin Yi was a skilled doctor. He couldn't give Lin Yi more than these two things. After that, Ling Shan and Yutian started to discuss the details of the mission, but most of it was just on paper. They didn't know what it was like inside the tomb, how dangerous it was, and what they were doing now was just to make sure they didn't have to worry about anything when it happened. Today was Xiao Xiao's birthday, and Meng Yao went to the supermarket with Xu early in the morning. They bought a lot of fresh fruits, preparing to make a fruit cake. Tang Yun was kneading the dough and making the cake base while Lin Yi told Xiaobo to buy butter. The miss had all the cooking utensils in the house, and Lin Yi was preparing to make a cake for Xiao Xiao. This wasn't hard for Lin Yi. There weren't any cake shops in Star West Village, and Lin Yi and Old Lin's birthdays were always made by Lin Yi himself. Lin Yi was by Xiao Xiao's side, looking at the thick jacket she was wearing, looking so down. He couldn't help but sigh. Xiao Xiao, don't worry too much. Didn't I tell you already? Uncle Feng will prepare an ice coffin for you and seal you up like your mother. I'll find the fruit for sure. Yeah, I believe you. I'm not worried, I'm just cold. Xiao Xiao said weakly, actually I'm really happy today. Lin Yi nodded. Xiao Xiao had been like this ever since she woke up 2 days ago. It was probably because she was supposed to be dead, but Lin Yi forcefully extended her life for 2 more days. Naturally, she didn't have much energy left. Alright, it's your birthday, don't knit anymore. Let's put it off for a day. Lin Yi said as he saw Xiao Xiao pick up the needle and start knitting again. Let me knit, I'm afraid I won't make it in time. Who knows if I'll be able to live past tomorrow. Xiao Xiao shook her head and continued. Didn't I say that you won't die? Lin Yi said, you can knit it when you come back to life. That won't do, I want to give it to you now. Xiao Xiao said, who knows how long it'll be before I can come back to life. Lin Yi didn't stop Xiao Xiao from saying that. He got up and went to the kitchen to help Tang Yun with the cake. The doorbell rang and Tang Yun went to open the door. It was Su Shihan. Lin Yi had called her earlier, inviting her to Xiao Xiao's birthday banquet. She'd booked a ticket to leave today, but for Xiao Xiao she changed it to tomorrow. Han, you're here. Tang Yun was surprised, not expecting Su Shihan to actually come. Yeah, where's Xiao Xiao? I brought her a present. Su Jinghan said as she took out a gift bag. In the living room, Han, you play with Xiao Xiao for a while. I'm making a cake with Lin Yi, I can't stay with you guys for now. Tang Yun showed Su Shihan her hand that was covered in flour. Alright, go on then. Right, do you need my help? Su Shihan asked. No need, just accompany Xiao Xiao. Tang Yun shook her head. Han, you're here. Xiao Xiao greeted Su Shihan weakly. Xiao Xiao, what's wrong? Why are you so weak? Why are you wearing a jacket at home? Su Shihan's eyes went wide when she saw Xiao Xiao. It's nothing, haha, maybe I'm dying? Xiao Xiao smiled. Chapter 1324. Shihan fell silent. Xiao Xiao had seen through life and death, but she still felt a little uncomfortable. Seeing a friend she'd just met leave made her heart heavy. Alright Han, let's not talk about this. Lin Yi Honey said that he can cure me, so he definitely can. Who knows, maybe you'll come back in a few years and find me alive again. Xiao Xiao saw that Shihan wasn't in a good mood and started consoling her. Shihan paused. Naturally, she didn't know about the ice coffin, so it was a little weird. It's nothing. What did you get me? Let me see. Xiao Xiao changed the topic. An album I recorded for you myself. Most of the songs are covers, but there's nothing special about it. I've never released it before, Shihan said as she handed the gift to Xiao Xiao. Wow, not bad at all. I love it. Xiao Xiao happily put the gift away. Meng Yao, Yushu and Kong Fen all came back one after another. Gooden, Yuan, Fatty Lai and Feng Tianlong were all invited as well. After the cake was done, everyone sat around the dining table and started singing the birthday song. Everyone knew about Xiao Xiao, but no one would bring it up right now. They didn't look sad either. Everyone happily gave their blessings. I'm so touched. This is the first time I've had such a lively birthday, Xiao Xiao said emotionally. I used to celebrate my birthdays with my dad at most, but this time I have so many good friends. Alright, time to turn off the lights and cut the cake. Yushu lit up the candles on the cake and happily turned off the lights in the dining room. In an instant the dining room turned dark and only the candlelight flickered. Xiao Xiao's face was flushed from the candlelight, and she looked exceptionally beautiful behind the candlelight. Xiao Xiao, you're 1 year older now. Do you have any wishes? Tianlong smiled at his daughter. Hearing that Lin Yi had a solution, Feng Tianlong let out a sigh of relief. Not only was there hope for Xiao Xiao, but there was also hope for his wife to wake up. This made his 20 years of gloomy mood finally see some light. Yeah. I can't tell you. Xiao Xiao blushed, but under the candlelight no one could see her blushing. Then let's all stop talking and let Xiao Xiao make a wish? Shirhan suggested. Alright. Xiao Xiao, hurry up and make a wish. Tell me secretly after you're done. Yushu said. Ha. Xiao Xiao nodded and clasped her hands together, closing her eyes as she silently made a wish. Xiao Xiao looked like she'd seen through life and death, and didn't fear death anymore, but in truth she didn't want to die. Especially with a boyfriend like Lin Yi and friends like Mengyao, Yushu, Tang Yun and Shirhan. She didn't want to die. And so, she made a wish, hoping that Lin Yi would be able to cure her so that she could be with them forever. Xiao Xiao sincerely made her wish, and the beautiful images of the future appeared in her mind. She'd have children with Lin Yi, Tang Yun, Mengyao, Xiao Xiao and Shirhan. It was simply too beautiful and she couldn't help but feel a little dizzy. No one spoke in the dining room, everyone was waiting for Xiao Xiao to make her wish. But after a while Xiao Xiao didn't look up. Lin Yi felt that something was wrong. Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi called. Xiao Xiao didn't reply. Lin Yi stood up and rushed over, checking Xiao Xiao's breathing and pulse. As expected, it was the same faint feeling she had when she was unconscious. Her illness had acted up and she couldn't make it past her 20th birthday. Lin Yi subconsciously wanted to bite his wrist and use his blood to heal her, but Jiao Yazi's voice sounded. Don't waste your efforts. The cold in her body has seeped into her bones and it's not something you can reverse. No matter how much blood you use, it won't do anything. The most important thing right now is to use the method you thought of before to seal her in an ice coffin, and then go find the fruit. Lin Yi paused before coming back to his senses. He stopped biting his wrist and sighed. Uncle Feng, prepare the ice coffin. I can't do it this time. There's nothing I can do. Lin Yi's words stunned everyone. Lin Yi had pulled Xiao Xiao back from the gates of hell time and time again, and they thought that he could do it this time as well. But they didn't expect Lin Yi to say something like that. Xiao Xiao, Tang Yin stood up first, her face pale. Lin Yi, is there no other way? Seal her in an ice coffin as soon as possible. I'll find the fruit, that's the only way. Lin Yi said seriously. Of course, when I break through to Sky Class, I'll be able to save Xiao Xiao, so don't be too sad. Just pretend that she's asleep. Lin Yi was sad as well, but he didn't want others to be sadder, so he tried to comfort them. Mengyao, Yushu and Shirhan all looked sad as well. The day had finally come and it was a good thing that they were all mentally prepared for it. I'll contact the ice coffin right now. Tianlong nodded quickly and started making the call. The usually lively House Chu's villa had returned to its usual calmness, and even the lively Yushu had become quiet. Xiao Xiao's death wasn't something that could be relieved in just 1 or 2 days. Xiao Xiao wasn't in the villa before, but it was a completely different feeling from now. Shield bro, when are you going grave robbing? Yushu urged Lin Yi almost every day, asking him when he was going. Lin Yi, I'll leave Xiao Xiao to you. Mengyao reminded Lin Yi often that he had a mission, a responsibility. Lin Yi, as long as you save Xiao Xiao, I'll agree to anything. We can play together. Even a threesome is fine. Tang Yin, who was always shy, was even flirting with Lin Yi for Xiao Xiao. Chapter 1325. And so, Lin Yi spent these days researching the mechanisms of the tomb, and the blueprints and instructions Lu Bojia gave him were read over and over by Lin Yi. But even with the blueprints, Lin Yi didn't slack off. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't trust Lu Bojia, but the information wasn't complete. Lu Bojia's information only talked about the mechanisms on the outskirts of the tomb, but didn't talk about the facilities inside. After all, Lu Bujia himself only observed from the outside and didn't go in, so no one knew what the situation inside was like. Every afternoon it was still Lin Yi, the Miss, Shu and Yin Yun eating together, but something seemed to be missing. No one seemed to want to talk, and the only thing they talked about was urging Lin Yi to go rob the tomb and find a way to save Xiao Xiao. Without Xie Yufeng, the school became peaceful again, and Pin Liang tolerated it for the time being. He didn't have any conflicts with Lin Yi and the others. The days went on, and in the blink of an eye, it was the day of the tomb robber. Lin Yi said goodbye to the Miss, Shu and Yin Yun, but they didn't seem reluctant at all. Instead they sighed happily. "We're finally leaving." Lin Yi didn't know what to say. He smiled bitterly. "Wait for my good news. But you have to be careful." Tang Yun said seriously, "To us Xiao Xiao is important, but you're important as well. Don't force yourself and do what you can. As long as there's life, there's hope. If something happens to you, not only us but even Xiao Xiao will lose hope." "Yeah, Lin Yi, you have to be careful." Meng Yao nodded. "I understand, don't worry." Lin Yi nodded and said with a smile. Before leaving, Lin Yi called Gooden into the villa. Even though Songshan's enemies hadn't come knocking on their door, Lin Yi was still worried about the girl's safety. It was better to be safe than sorry. Even with Faubert around, Faubert was only a peak late phase golden class, and while he could deal with normal opponents, he wouldn't be able to handle the stronger ones. Gooden, I'll leave Yao Yao, Shu and Yin Yun's safety to you when I'm not here." Lin Yi said. "Don't worry, boss. Leave this to me." Gooden patted his chest. "I'll make sure to protect them when you're not here. But your body is special. You have to remember what I said." Lin Yi said seriously. "If a master comes looking for trouble and you don't have the confidence, just kill him straight away, don't hold back. You're strong, but if a mystic's punch hits you, you'll die for sure. And if the opponent isn't very strong, then cripple his resistance first, then ask the mastermind behind the scenes." "I'll remember." Gooden remembered Lin Yi's words. He looked honest, but he wasn't stupid. He knew that Lin Yi was telling the truth. That night, Gooden moved into the Chu Villa, Lin Yi's room. As for Yuan, they had to leave for now. Gooden and Yuan didn't want to leave, but as far as he was concerned, the mission his boss gave him was the most important. Lin Yi, on the other hand, went to the police station to meet up with Ling Shan and Yu Tian. There were some things that needed to be done in unison. The other grave robbers weren't just for show after all. If their disguise was exposed, then it'd be over. Yu Tian, bro, Ling Shan, you guys should have come up with a detailed plan for the grave robbing, right? Just show it to me. Lin Yi didn't beat around the bush, getting straight to the point. Lin Yi didn't need to be courteous with Yu Tian and Lin Yi, especially with Ling Shan and Lin Yi. "It's done, it's here." Yu Tian nodded and handed the plan to Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't say much as he sat on the sofa and started flipping through the book. He'd only skimmed through the tomb raiding plans. It was all theoretical stuff with no practical use at all. He'd only read the introduction to the couple in detail, including their habits, style, etc., 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 etc. The couple rarely interacts with others. Even the other grave robbers don't know their true faces. After Lin Yi finished reading the information, he asked, "In other words, we don't have to deliberately disguise ourselves?" "That's right. The couple is a very cautious and cunning tomb robber. If it weren't for the coincidence that I found them at the border, I wouldn't have been able to kill them." Qin Yutian nodded. "This way it saves us a lot of trouble. They're a rather unique existence in the tomb raiding world. Their skills are high and they're cunning. Their peers love and hate each other as well. Sometimes they're greedy and want a piece of every tomb, but other times they can't do without them. They're very experienced." Lin Yi nodded. "Right now it's me and Ling Shan acting as the couple. You're our foundation, right?" "That's right." Yutian nodded. "You're the strongest among the three of us, and the male is also the strongest among the couple. What's your strength now? Or early phase golden class?" Lin Yi looked at Yutian and asked. "Yes, I'm sorry, but I'm still early phase golden class," Yutian said, a little embarrassed. He hadn't been able to raise his strength because of his talent. "Then I'll raise you to peak late phase golden class tonight. You'll be able to protect yourself like Ling Shan," Lin Yi said faintly. Yutian froze. Peak late phase golden class? Did he hear wrongly? Lin Yi was going to raise his strength? And looking at Lin Yi's tone, it seemed like he was talking about something very normal. You should know how Ling Shan raised her strength. Stop wasting time and start now. Lin Yi looked at Yutian's shocked face and smiled impatiently. Chapter 1326. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Once the strength of these people increased, even the hidden families and ancient sects would not dare to act rashly in front of him. If he didn't want to be bullied, he had to keep increasing his strength. But at the same time, he also had to help the people around him. This wasn't just helping him, it was also for their own good. Otherwise, once Lin Yi's strength reached a certain level, others wouldn't dare to do anything to him. But what if they tried to do something to his friends and family? Although Lin Yi would definitely go crazy for revenge, there were still some brainless people out there. All right. Yutian took a deep breath and said solemnly, I can't thank you enough. Don't say those useless things. Why are you being so polite with me? Lin Yi scolded with a smile. You'll only be able to protect Shu when you're strong enough. I can't protect her forever. You'll still be the big brother in the future. But, you and Shu. Yutian actually approved of his sister being with Lin Yi. Although there was still Lingshan here, Tang Yun there and Xiao Xiao there, but on one hand Yutian could see that his sister really liked Tang Yun, and on the other hand he admired Lin Yi. Let's not talk about this. Lin Yi waved his hand, ending the topic. He put his hands on Yutian's meridians. Start channeling your arts, I'm going to start. Alright. Yutian nodded, and Lin Yi closed his eyes and entered the jade space, channeling the art of dragon mastery. In the next moment, a large amount of qi was absorbed into Yutian's body. Even if Yutian had heard Lingshan talk about how she leveled up once, he couldn't help but be shocked. Could this be the legendary power imparting? The purity of this qi was something Qin Yutian had never seen before. Even in the deep mountains and forests, the qi he absorbed wasn't half as pure as this. Qin Yutian didn't dare to waste any time and started absorbing as much qi as he could. Lingshan had already been through Lin Yi's leveling up, and so she wasn't too surprised. She sat quietly on the side, protecting the two, not letting anyone disturb them. After midnight, Lin Yi stopped channeling, and Yutian reached the peak of the late phase of the golden class without a doubt. What Lin Yi wasn't surprised was that he still stopped at the bottleneck, unable to take another step forward. I'm really at the peak of the late phase of the golden class? Yutian opened his hands in disbelief, shocked. Is this for real? In such a short period of time I actually have this kind of strength. It's like a dream. I felt the same way back then. Lingshan looked at Lin Yi, who didn't seem to be affected at all, smiling bitterly. Just how strong was this person? Even if it was grandma, she'd lose some strength when she passed on her grandpa's strength. And there was no way she could raise someone from the early phase of the golden class to the peak of the late phase in such a short time. How many levels did he cross in between? This was simply inconceivable. That's all I can do for now. Whether or not you can reach the mystic class depends on your own efforts. Lin Yi said regretfully, if I want to raise you guys to the peak of the late phase of the mystic class, I'll have to work hard to become an earth class. You can still raise. Yutian's eyes widened. He didn't think that the day Lin Yi became an earth class would be the day he became a mystic late phase peak. This was too hard to accept, wasn't it? But the truth was the truth, and he had to believe it. After all, he'd seen it with his own eyes. From the early phase of the golden class to the peak of the late phase in one night. The speed was like sitting on a rocket. Alright, let's all get some rest. I'm tired too. Don't we have to leave early tomorrow morning? Lin Yi had been using every night to train, so that if he couldn't find the fruit, he'd be able to prolong Xiao Xiao's life when he became a sky class. The effect wasn't as good as the fruit, but it was a safer backup plan. After all, Lin Yi was sure that he'd reach the sky class one day. Lingshan and Yutian didn't object since it was getting late. But they were in Lingshan's office and sleeping was a problem. In Lingshan's break room, there was a sofa that could fit two people if they squeezed together, but in the outer room, there was a sofa that could only fit one person. Lin Yi, you and Lingshan can sleep on the bed, I'll sleep on the sofa. Yutian had already accepted the fact that Lingshan and Lin Yi were sleeping together, so he suggested. Lingshan blushed but didn't object. In her heart, she'd long since considered herself as Lin Yi's woman. He'd seen everything and even tried to seduce him. Why would she care about sleeping with Lin Yi? She couldn't wait. It's okay, I'm not sleeping, I can recover by training. I'll just rest on the chair, you guys sleep. Linny said faintly. All right. Yutian nodded. I'll sleep on the sofa then. Yutian could see the disappointment on Lingshan's face, but this wasn't something he could meddle in. It was better to sleep first. Then I'll go rest too. Lingshan knew that Lin Yi was a man of his word. If he didn't want to go, there was no point in forcing him. After a night of silence, the three started their journey the next day to the ancient tomb in the outskirts of Songshan City. The three of them were in an off-road car. It was Yutian's car, but the original license plate had been removed and replaced with a fake one. This was a common method used by grave robbers, and Lingshan and the others naturally followed suit. Although the tomb was in the outskirts of Songshan City, it was still quite far from the city proper, about 5 hours of driving. There were no highways and there were mountain roads in between, so 5 hours was a conservative estimate. Sure enough, when the three of them arrived at their destination, it was already evening. This was a very desolate foot of a mountain. At the foot of the mountain there was only a small village. It could be seen that the economy here was not very developed. The village was filled with bungalows and the conditions were not very good. Chapter 1327. No need, let's go straight. We're all practitioners, we don't need to rest. Lin Yi said faintly. Lingshan nodded. She'd forgotten that they were all practitioners, so she'd naturally suggest that they set up camp in a village to rest, but that wasn't necessary now. Then let's keep going. We should be there soon. Lingshan said. The road became more and more difficult to advance. There was almost no one in this area. Even the people in the nearby villages would not come to this place. This was because this was a mountain range and it was mainly composed of rock cliffs. There were no wild fruits or animals. People could do nothing but look at the scenery here. The scenery here isn't bad, it's a good place to take pictures. Lin Yi sighed. It's a pity that no matter how good the scenery is, we can't develop it into a tourist spot because of the seclusion. The villages nearby are too poor and the infrastructure is too bad. It'd take too much investment to develop this place into a tourist spot. No company would invest that much money here, and we don't even know if there'll be any returns. Yutian said. Lin Yi didn't understand business operations, and so he didn't comment on Yutian's words. The car drove for a while and the road got harder and harder. There were fewer trees on the side of the road, and there was nothing else other than desolate rocks. They'd thought that the scenery was pretty when they first entered the mountain range, but as time went on, it became boring and boring. Qin Yutian was right, this place wasn't suitable for a tourist spot. The scenery was too monotonous and people who came here once wouldn't come back again. There was no point in staying here. We're almost there. We need to put on our masks. The tents in front might belong to the other tomb robbers. We need to be cautious and alert at all times. Don't let anyone see through us. Lingshan reminded. There's no need to be vigilant. Being too vigilant would only make people suspicious. Let's just do what we need to do. Lin Yi said faintly. The couple's style is very overbearing and arrogant. The information mentioned that too. Everyone in the industry knows that. Why would they be cautious? You're right, I was too worried. Lingshan said, getting taught a lesson. With that, Lin Yi, Lingshan, and Yutian put on the masks they'd prepared beforehand. These masks were all taken from the couple and they were all original masks. They didn't even need to copy them. As the car got closer, they saw rows of tents and rows of vehicles not far away. Most of the vehicles were off-road vehicles, but there were also a few large trucks. They were probably loaded with living materials. These grave robbers had many underlings, unlike the couple who preferred to be alone. When Qin Yutian drove closer, a few men with assault rifles walked out of the tent. Behind them, a short and skinny man waved his hand, signaling Qin Yutian to stop. What are you doing? This is a military administrative area. There's construction in front of us. We can't go through. The short and thin man said lightly. If it were a normal tourist, they might have really believed the man's words and turned around to leave, but Qin Yutian came here with a purpose. Naturally, he wouldn't believe the man's words. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. There's wood in front, right? Qin Yutian said faintly. This was the newest entrance to the grave robber's business, and he got it from Lu Bojia himself. He believed that the short and thin man would understand. Oh, the man said calmly. Heavenly King covers Earth Tiger. The previous sentence was a common opening in the tomb robbing industry, and this sentence was the agreed upon secret code for this tomb robbing. If they could not answer, then sorry, the short and thin man would wave his hand, and the burly men with the submachine guns would not hesitate to open fire. If he could match the first sentence but not the second sentence, it was very likely that this person was also a member of the thief sect. He must have heard the news and wanted to fish in troubled waters to get some benefits. Therefore, the dark and thin man would never let these people have a share of the profits. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King Li. Qin Yutian said calmly. He got this secret code from the couple's logbook. Even Lu Bujia didn't know this secret code. The couple might have been afraid of forgetting the secret code, so they recorded it in their logbook. Both Yutian and Lingshan wanted to laugh when they first saw the signal. The first reaction most people would have was the pagoda suppressing the river monster, but it'd be a huge mistake if they were to say something like that out of their mouth. A friend from afar. May I ask which group you're from? The short and thin man's face softened a bit. He knew that this was the group they'd agreed on. Old hey, you don't even fucking recognize me anymore? Why were you wasting my time? Do you want me to make him run you over? Before Qin Yutian could say anything, Lin Yi opened the car door unhappily and jumped down, scolding the man. According to Qin Yutian's information, this old He was the leader of the Red Pagoda tomb robbers, as well as the discoverers of this tomb. The couple had a weird temper and thought highly of their skills, looking down on their peers. They weren't very popular usually, but when it came to difficult tombs like this, they had no choice but to invite them over. And so Lin Yi started scolding them as soon as he got out of the car. Male thief, you're still so bad-tempered. I'm just doing this for safety. The fewer people here, the more benefits we'll get. I'm just worried that someone might hear about this and come join in the fun. The short and thin man called Old He shook his head helplessly. He was pissed off, but there was nothing else he could do. Humph. Lin Yi humphed coldly. Where are the others? Are they all here? My time is limited. King Bro, Hao Yi and James are all here. They're resting over there. The short and thin man said. Everyone's here? When is it starting? Lin Yi asked. According to the information he'd read, there were only 5 groups of people who'd come this time, and one of the couples had already become him. The other 4 groups were all present. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.